What's up, gamers? Welcome back. Elaney, congrats on being first, and Amphibious Orca, and Testicle Johnson. Now fun, I got some economic shit to ask you. You can always ask me some economic shit. Look, I got some new lights too. Now I have more control. I can put a cool light behind my TV. I don't want to disrupt your stream, VC, real quick. Could I? Yeah, you can if you want to. I can put a cool color behind me without ruining other stuff. What's up, Metro? I don't understand how you can look at the past week and not think Jewish Americans have dual loyalties. I'm not sure why that would. What's up, Jiffingo? Welcome. Pro made me wait. I made the what's up, ZRT? Welcome back. I made the stream too early. I'm not sure why the past week would like really make me believe that. We've kind of already been aligned with Israel for a while, and it's not even clear to me that like we're doing whatever shit in Iran like on behalf of Israel or because Jewish people have dual loyalties or whatever. I do think Trump obviously just likes Israel, but I also think Trump kind of just likes waving his stick around. So that's part of his motivation for doing what we're doing in Iran. What's up?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, what's up? I won't hang on. Do I have you muted? Oh, that's my bad.
Damn.
So yeah, we don't have to go super down far the rabbit hole. I was having a casual conversation with a friend, and I couldn't quite articulate my thoughts, and he was like, what he was saying kind of made sense. Anyway, I'll just get into it. So it has to do with UBI, right? So let's imagine like a hypothetical future where I don't think AI will replace all of the jobs, but let's say it like replaces maybe 20 conservative, whatever, maybe 10% of like jobs, right? And obviously other positions that we couldn't have anticipated will be developed, and like some of that will be not, it's not like a one for one. It's not like just 10% of the workforce is just out of work forever, right?
Sure.
Let's say that something like that happens, and because of like the high rate of at least initially maybe a transition period, maybe it's permanent, maybe more and more, maybe that percent will go up over time. I feel like that's when it kind of makes a bit more sense to maybe consider something like UBI. And again, I understand there's models of UBI and all the rest of it, but kind of what I was trying to tell him, or what it's a vibes thing, is does that not fundamentally sort of change the way that the economics of it would have to be approached? Because I don't know. I don't think.
Well, the economics of what? What do you mean?
So, like, I guess it would depend on the model of UBI, but let's say that it's kind of like kind of similar to like the tax system, in the sense that like if you are unemployed, so maybe it could replace EI, regardless of if you had lost a job directly due to AI. But let's just say you're below a certain threshold, you make less than X amount a year, and so you're eligible for some sort of UBI program to subsist, right? Like these companies would make sort of exponential profit, because now they're not paying, or like, I guess the people that are being replaced, I'm not saying in a billionaire's greed type of way, but in some sense, because they're not paying for people's benefits, there's like the overhead is way less. Maybe they'll have to pay to like maintain the AI systems to some degree, but the efficiency and the
UBI can be as
is
cheap or
theoretically
expensive
like
as
way
we
higher,
want,
right?
because you can just tax it
So
back.
is there not like a kind of a stopgap between, or like not a stopgap, but like some sort of gap there between the people who would be sort of paying and buying for these products no longer having that spending power, but yet theoretically the corporations would be making a higher profit? Like, what would be the economic impact of that, do you think?
Well, yeah. So it would depend on, if I understand what you're saying, depend on what exactly AI is used for, and also what taxes we are doing. Because you could imagine, like if AI, and I imagine it will be to some extent, like replaces or to some extent maybe complements like human researchers. Like, AI might be doing a lot of the like research and development for like medical tech and fucking some rocket science or whatever we want to outsource some AI research to, even in the social sciences. Actually, arguably maybe more in the social sciences, AI will also like substitute human researchers. Like in that case, it's not like researchers make up like a substantial size of the population. So you'd probably just have, assuming it's limited to researchers in this hypothetical, you'd have like some segment of the population that would be like unemployed essentially, or they would have to retrain at least to find a useful position somewhere else. But that wouldn't really affect, like that would just expand the options available to consumers. And you would imagine that if like research is substantially more productive, even if there are people who lose buying power because they lose their job, the cost of stuff is gonna go down. Like the cost of new products, if research is cheaper, will be a lot cheaper. So
okay, yeah, like that intuitively makes sense. Let's say it's not in necessarily research, but something maybe more commodity based, like the fast food thing. Right now they're trialing like AI in fast food places, right? That's also a common like entry level position for a lot of teenagers and people who,
welcome back
well,
to
I
us,
guess
Hal. It's
older
been
people as
a
well.
bit.
But like, yeah, I guess maybe I need to look into like what I'm kind of getting at here, because I feel like with a UBI, which would have to be funded in some level from like, it would have to be somewhat funded from like the profits from these corporations, right? I don't think it could be
Well,
funded.
yeah, I mean, you could,
taxes.
it would depend on what AI is used for again, but presumably, like,
Right.
yeah, if we're doing technically you could get the money wherever if you really wanted to, but if you want to do a UBI that replaces the labor income of people whose employment was removed by AI, it probably makes the most sense to get it from essentially the rents from AI that companies receive. Yeah.
Okay. I guess the slippery slope is that if UBI
Thanks,
was
Finger, for the gifted
implemented to some
membership. I
degree, I
appreciate it.
see
Hell
like
yeah.
there has to be
Where's your?
a
Give it a second.
plethora of other like complementary regulations that would sort of have to go hand in hand in order to be able to make it viable. I don't know what your thoughts are broadly on UBI, but and then again, I understand there are different models of it and all the rest of it. I'm not super well versed in any of this stuff, but
I mean, the
yeah,
simple solution, just do DBCFT, baby, okay, then do some type of UBI cash rebate, whatever.
I think the simple solution is just learn to code, right?
That's true.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Just learn to be AGI. This is true.
Yeah. All right, well, you've given me some food for thought, but I appreciate you humoring me.
Yeah, no worries. Appreciate it.
All right, cool, man. Peace.
See you later. Thanks. I'm cheap, but you're expensive to love. Okay, Shipper, I do appreciate a gifted membership. Gotta play our little games here, obviously. No, fuck you. You don't deserve anything. Upskill. We're not taking money from AI. CapEx to spend on your Dorito budget. Nice one. I mean, you understand in the context of like Tesco Johnson's like hypothetical worries or whatever, it would not just be like it would be replaces enough employment to like the point where people would essentially either die or live not like pretty horrible lives absent any type of income from a job or transfers from their family, I guess they could get. But we already have transfer payments for this very reason. It's just scaling them up in the context of if there were like AI displacement or whatever. But I think not all taxation necessarily takes from capex, right? Like DBCFT would not really take from capex because it would be fully expensable, and DBCFT would only sort of tax the super normal returns too, or from capex. North Korean state media. We don't have AI in my country. You don't think North Korea is cooking up some incredible AI? You don't think North Korea has the secret AGI already? Linda fucking code is absolutely correct. I imagine coding will be one of the first things substantially automated by AI. It obviously already to an extent is automating some things, but so far, to my understanding, it's probably been playing more of a complementary role rather than like a substitute role. I'm not entirely sure though. Non-knit women's coats. Oh boy. Bangladesh? Probably. Okay. And number 5. I feel like China would not make these still. Oh, okay, never mind. The number 1 by far. Okay. And it might be some Southeast Asian country. Like maybe it's fucking Vietnam. I want to say Singapore, Thailand, or some shit. Yeah, I bet it might be like Singapore. Or, it wouldn't be Singapore. I don't think they're too small, but it might be Malaysia or Indonesia or some stuff. But it might. I imagine it's also going to be okay, yeah, Vietnam's number 2. I would think that Honduras or some other Latin American country is up there. Maybe Haiti? Ooh, that was horrible. Never mind. Fuck it. Indonesia? Yeah, I'm gonna guess Indonesia. I bet it's up there. It was not. Number 13. Italy, Germany. I probably could have guessed Italy. Haiti's like agriculture and shit. Haiti, for sure, has got some fucking garments, bro. Where are their exports at? Show me it. Look, knit t-shirts. Literally the number 1 thing. They export knit sweaters. I guess, you know, this is non-knit women's coats, okay? So Haiti does the knitting. China has the non they have the non-knit market, okay? Although they have non-knit men's shirts and non-knit activewear on there. So, you know. I'll remember in the future, okay? Haiti does the knitting, apparently. 18 billion. Rubber tires, cars, iron blocks, gas turbines. I feel like Mexico would have more than 18 billion, and I don't think it would have iron blocks. It would also have oil. But it reminds me of Mexico. It could maybe be like Eastern Europe. Belarus. Ooh, shit. Czechia or some shit? And hire cars? What's up, DeHammer? Welcome back. Angola? I don't think it's Angola. Angola is too small to have 18 billion in exports, right? 18 billion is still a decent amount. Guessing Czechia. Fuck. Belgium? There's no way this is Germany, right? Germany has more than 18 billion in exports, right? I know 3 Jewish people in my life, and they all have the same responses. It's so dumb. Okay. The same responses to what? Just the strikes at Iran? Portugal's not too far west. I'm pretty sure that's too far west. It's 600 kilometers from... I believe it's capital to capital. So it's 600 kilometers west of, Czechia. I don't know, Belgium. They're all Democrats too? This is because Jewish people are high IQ. So they're obviously all going to be Democrats. Duh. Poland? Poland is not west of Czechia. At least not capital to capital. Switzerland? Oh wait, maybe it is Switzerland. Ooh, that's a good guess. I'm stealing that. Oh fuck. Wait, it's in Belgium. Oh my god. There's no... Is it... I swear Germany would have more than 18 billion. Yeah. Hold on, what fucking... Oh my god, it's fucking... Luxembourg or... Right? There might be Liechtenstein. I think it's Luxembourg though. Yeah, okay, Luxembourg. Yeah, hold on. Germany has, just so I'm not crazy, where's just the total value of its exports? Yeah, 1.5 trillion. Okay, not going crazy. Okay. Whew. They're all typical progressive except Palestine Democrats. That's not surprising. That it's like I don't know what you want me to take away from this. I don't know how that's suggestive of them having dual loyalties. I think it's suggestive of simply the fact that typically people's identities and the common experiences that the people who share an identity have just lead them to different, beliefs. It makes sense why a lot of Jewish people would be, relatively pro-Israel compared to most progressive Democrats, but still be progressive Democrat type people overall. What's up, Olympus? Welcome back. Hope you and chat are doing great. I am. Whoa, what's up, Grassroots? Welcome back as well. Stop appropriating the Republican line from the 90s. You're stealing my culture, True. Listen, I just don't know what it is not something I didn't already know. I think that and I don't want to suggest that if anything, you're the one suggesting the Jewish hive mind dual loyalty shit more than I am. Okay, I'm just saying it makes sense why. What's up, 2 Hands? Welcome back. Why Jewish people would tend to have the experiences that make them more pro-Israel, whether it just be a connection to the culture or they have family there, obviously. And I would imagine most of them are still, at least compared to people in Israel, still pretty pro-Palestine compared to them, at least. But maybe I'm wrong. Is Marco Rubio Jewish at all? Marco Rubio's not even Jewish, okay. Trump isn't Jewish either. So why am I supposed to be thinking that these people are the reason we're doing this is because so many people have dual loyalties or whatever? Trump isn't Jewish, right? Rubio isn't Jewish. Oh shit, here he is with fucking Shimon Peres though. Oh no. We got him, boys. We got him. It wasn't Perez wasn't he? I could be making this up. Wasn't he a pretty moderate dude for Israel? It's Chilver. Remind me who negotiated days preceding the attacks. I don't know. That argument is Adelson is pushing him to do it. Oh, the argument is that Adelson is pushing him to do it. Oh yeah, it's Kushner. True. Rubio prays to Wailing Wall confirmed. I mean, I would actually be surprised if he's done that. Just because, most of our Secretary of States have have done that. But I don't know. Maybe we just take dual loyalty to mean different things. I think there are I think because Jewish people are typically going to have experiences that probably make them more sympathetic to Israel. It wouldn't be surprising if the Jewish people in Trump's cabinet and prior cabinets were also more pro-Israel. But I also think I'm trying to think of something analogous. Oh shit! Oh no. I would imagine Taiwanese people are more sympathetic to Taiwan. I don't think that's dual loyalty. I think that's just their experiences informing their policy. Okay. Anyway, regardless of that, I don't mind answering questions on Iran and such because I know people are gonna want to know my opinions about that. But just I don't have strong ones. Just preface that. The impossible has happened. The impossible has happened. There was a debate about actual policy on Wick's show a few days ago. I haven't streamed in 5 days, by the way. I've been lazy. about universal healthcare between soy pill and, as far as I know, some rando. But I watched the last like 5 minutes because I got home from class and started watching it. What? I know, it's crazy. I did call in. The only things I heard in the last 5 minutes, okay, was the Tyler dude was talking about Maid. It's probably more than the last 5 minutes, but he was like, oh my god, Maid is so evil, they're fucking killing babies, okay, or they're gonna kill babies. And Wick, my goat, brought up the issues with pharmaceutical price negotiations potentially reducing pharmaceutical R&D. Okay, so hopefully this is fun. Is Brassard still here? Does Brassard want to yell at me about universal healthcare too?
Okay, I just
Do you agree Taiwan isn't China? I think this, like, the question is probably too like sensitive to what you mean by is not to like have a meaningful answer. I think Taiwan should be an independent country. I think they de facto are an independent country, and I prefer Taiwan's system of liberal democracy compared to the CCP. But I don't know how much you want me to read into the like it's not China part.
want to make sure
Were they evil babies? Probably. The actual, and I call it in at the end to talk about the two things I heard. One, Maid is not yet killing babies. It was like some proposal that like has not gotten anywhere yet or whatever. Two, it's not like that crazy. I can understand like having differing views on this, but currently in most developed countries, we already will let parents withdraw life support from children who need it and have like, debilitating diseases that will affect them for life, right? Even if these babies or whatever, like, could settle their babies, these were settler babies, exactly. Even if these people were like, or like have a decent chance of living, we give them people the option to withdraw life support from their babies. And the proposal, that as far as I can understand it, for like the Maid stuff in Canada, would basically be a similar thing, except it's just a difference between, actively killing them versus like withdrawing life support. So it's going to come down to like your view on how big the difference is there. But I think it's like crazy hyperbolic to just be spouting out like, oh my god, universal healthcare is killing all these babies, when we already do a similar thing in the US. It's just the difference between actively killing and letting die. I agree with the crazy Georgist. Oh no, I think universal healthcare sucks as proposal. I mean, I wouldn't like go so far to say as it sucks as, but I think it would not be optimal.
I can still access my notes.
Okay. So just get things going. Both of you have been on my show before. You know how this goes. So we'll get
Should have actually
started.
Saved where it started.
It's where we come together talking about socialized healthcare. Is this the direction that we want to move forward in as a country? Is socialized healthcare better than the American system that we have? We're going to talk about it. We got some great guests today to discuss it. We have the Soy Pill, and then we have Tyler from the We're Offended podcast. And I want to start by giving...
Oh, is this a person?
...to Tyler.
What is it? Oh, what's up? Taiwan is in China. Taiwan being recognized as an independent country would be hella optimal. I don't actually know if, like, as a foreign policy decision, that would be that would be optimal. I think that might provoke a reaction we don't want. That might be better served as just de facto treating them like an independent country. But ideally, in that ideal world, I would want that to happen.
Tyler, to kind of open this up and give us his thoughts. So tell people who you are, what you do, why we should listen to you, and your opening thoughts on the matter, and then we'll get to Soy Pill. So go ahead, please.
Start with my opening statement here.
Hey, real quick, guys, tell me if I'm using the right
of course, I would like
mic.
to first thank Wick for graciously hosting this debate, and of course my opponent, the Soy Pill, for accepting the discussion.
We love dual loyalty, or we have dual loyalty. It's like the Jews based. Why does Soy Pill look like Ryan Malay? He does not. What? In what sense? In literally how?
As stated, my name is Tyler, and I'm the co-host of...
Yo, shit, thanks, Calm66 for the raid. I appreciate it. Hell yeah. Over on Kick, I think. Welcome in, people. Shout out to Calm. No offense. Should I know who that is? I don't know who that is. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Okay, that makes it more meaningful.
Best talk show you've never heard of, the We're Offended, You're Offended. So I am here to assert the false utopia that socialized healthcare is and the misconceptions associated with it. Socialized healthcare is a bureaucratic nightmare, mired in horror stories, ineffective care, and much closer associated with the death hospitals of Mother Teresa than anything that we would associate with the word healthcare. I will show that once a person becomes an expense line on a budget sheet, how utilitarian socialized healthcare truly is.
Oh my god. This is what we're doing. How utilitarian. We have to draw. We have to draw utilitarianism into this. We have to slander. We have to slander utilitarianism in this. I can see it. Don't tell Ryan I said that. Literally, Soypill is buff. His background is not even the same as Ryan's. He's maybe got similar-ish headphones. Maybe he's got a funny hat on. Yo, shit. Thanks for the $10.
Georgism is based and universal healthcare sucks. I want to kiss socialism platonically, not take it to bed.
Based. Don't you know, universal healthcare is the logical conclusion of Georgism. Don't fact check. It's the mustache, I think. They just like both have beards. Hold on, I just want to see who this guy is. Apparently they streamed a Rumble. Interesting. Deported because of Billie Eilish. Oh no, is he talking about Drew Pavlou?
You make fat jokes, you're too fat. Okay?
Incredible.
What benefits few while impacting many. My opponent, I assume, will talk
He's a white man with brown hair. Soypill is actually a Jewish man. Okay. So he clearly has dual loyalties to Israel, obviously.
about the number of Americans that have gone bankrupt from the healthcare costs, and I will show how wrong he is. He'll dance on the edge cases while I don't even contend with those.
Usually the meme numbers that people cite for like medical bankruptcies is, you know, kind of a meme number. It's not like really accurate. I think people say it's like 60% of bankruptcies or whatever. The way they get to that number is just like if someone declares bankruptcy, if they had any medical debt, then it's counted as like a medical debt contributing to or causing that bankruptcy. But I think if you just look at like use a better method to actually find out if it's more of a like but for cause of people's bankruptcy, it's like way lower than that. But I don't have exact numbers on that on hand. I wish I did.
Although I can't, and I can even talk about the generalities. He'll make the emotional plea of should someone have to think about dollars in such a vulnerable position? Is it compassionate to die while waiting to see a doctor?
This is
or how about
crazy.
chronic illness where the offered solution
I've
is
never had a healthcare
assisted
debate like
death?
this. He already knows everything I'm going to
My
say.
solution would include a hybrid system with a private option and a basic public option. A healthcare system that takes holistic approach.
Oh shit! That's not even that crazy of a proposal. Oh no! Wait, maybe I might actually end up agreeing with this guy more in policy. I thought based on the way he was framing single payer healthcare, I thought he would think that like even a public option would be quite bad. Yeah, I don't think I have anything on.
Exercise and medicine as a last resort. If we view the experimentations of the little mustache man as evil, then socialized healthcare in Canada is no different. It is evil. And with that, I look. Dude. How is even what? Okay, so he proposed he said a hybrid system where we have a public option. How wrong he is. He'll dance on the edge cases while I don't even need to contend with those. Have to think about dollars in such a vulnerable position. A healthcare system that takes holistic approach, including dietary, exercise, and medicine as a last resort. If we view the experimentations of the little mustache man that's passionate to die, he'll make the emotional plea of about the number of Americans that have gone bankrupt from the healthcare costs, and I will even talk about the generalities. He'll make the emotional plea of should someone have to think about dollars in such a vulnerable position. Where the fuck did he say it? While waiting to see a doctor.
This is
or how about
crazy.
chronic illness where the offered solution
I've never had a healthcare debate like this. He already knows everything I'm going to say.
My solution would include a hybrid system with a private option and a basic public option. A healthcare system. Like we're comparing a single payer system to Hitler, but your system is a hybrid system with a basic public option. Like I just don't see how I don't like single payer healthcare. Okay, we all know non-fawn #1 neo-lib right winger hates single payer healthcare. All right, but like I don't think if you're comparing a single payer option or a single payer healthcare system to Hitler, then you can say like it just seems crazy to say a public option of almost any size is optimal. That's just wild. And that takes holistic approach, including dietary, exercise, and medicine. At what point is like, is it like proportional to like, it's like a 99% of people on a public option? Is that like equivalent to like 99% Hitler? It's like 10% people on a public option. Is that like 10% Hitler? Like what are we like? Last resort. If we view the experimentations of the little mustache man as evil, then socialized healthcare in Canada.
I'm sure we will get into it as we go. Okay, Soypill.
Yeah, I'm
Go
not
ahead.
sure why I'm here. He seems to know all my arguments already, even though I've never really talked about it all that much. Socialized medicine, I think, is just a good thing in general. I don't think I necessarily hold a position that we need exclusively socialized medicine. I lived in Germany for quite a long time, and a hybrid system could and does work very well. If you just have to look at the analysis of all of the deficits in our country that come from our...
By the way, tell me if I'm either too loud or the video's too quiet or whatever.
Healthcare, we pay more per person. Our life expectancy is not
Oh, no.
any other Western country. I think we have...
No, we're doing the meme. No, we're doing the meme. So I feel no. Don't do it.
worst results of any other, rich Western country.
No.
I think that's unacceptable. I don't think that 27 million people should not be on insurance. I don't think that Obamacare...
Loud? Me or the video? I'm assuming you mean the video because I just raised the volume in the video. That's not a good way to view the but quiet. Okay, that's not the a good way to view the performance of healthcare systems. This is always talking about socialized medicine. It is Hitler. I know it's crazy too because I don't know how long we hear Lucas, but like saying single payer healthcare is Hitler and then saying, but I also want a public option is just that's just crazy. I just don't get that. I just don't get how that mindset works. But the low life expectancy in the U.S. is probably caused by many, many other factors as opposed to, it's just a healthcare spending or whatever. We have lower life expectancy or like not healthcare spending, but healthcare performance. We drive cars. We get a lot more car accidents than European countries, right? That's a big cause of death in the U.S. We're a lot fatter. We don't exercise as much. Those are all things that drive the life expectancy in the U.S. to be lower, and doesn't necessarily reflect the performance of the healthcare system. If you look at like more I'll say like more identifiable examples of the U.S. healthcare system's performance, they'll probably go up quite a bit with GLP-1s. Yeah, hopefully. We need single payer healthcare for Ozempic only. Okay, let's go. But food culture is also way, way worse than in East Asian countries. Yeah, the portion sizes here are crazy, right? Even compared to Western Europe. And then, we just tend to have not great diets. If you look at like more easily identifiable cases, it's either the U.S. wins or like it's a lot more ambiguous. Like if you just look at like 5-year cancer survival rates, or if you look at hospital like readmission rates and how well people or how long people survive with like heart disease. Like I said, either the U.S. wins or it's at the very least more ambiguous there. And also, part of the cost in the U.S. being high reflects the better quality healthcare that we do get, right? So the fact that we get new drugs sooner than other countries, right? The fact that we buy more brand name drugs as opposed to generic drugs, right? Those are both reflections of like higher quality care. So in that sense, where the price of healthcare reflects the higher quality, not necessarily that we're just like being ripped off or whatever, or that the system is failing and evil and horrible.
There is the acceptable, well, we did this so much and now we don't have to do anything more. I think any other system that is bureaucratic could potentially be fine. It's going to have its shortcomings. You can look at Canada, you can look at Germany and say, wow, the wait times aren't so good, or I can't get a specialist as fast.
The best argument against socialized healthcare is that it leads to maid killing babies, don't you know?
That's why I do like the idea that in a hybrid system, if you really wanted to and you were rich, you could pay for more. No one's forcing you to be in the system. And in fact, you can opt out of the public system yourself if you live in that country. However, it's completely unacceptable that people are dying when they don't need to be dying.
Large portion size, highly processed, energy-dense diets, low fiber intake, non-sanitizing food, non-walkable cities, car culture, etc. Exactly.
It is completely unacceptable. You can call it an emotional.
Yeah, cars are bad because they mean we don't exercise as much and we die in car crashes. Cars are also way bigger. It's probably way bigger. I don't have data on hand about the relative size of cars, but in general, my understanding is that cars in the U.S. tend to be quite a bit bigger, and those tend to kill a lot more people.
But it is unacceptable that people do
that. There is data for, like, The Economist has a good article about the social cost of like bigger cars. They kill a lot of people.
Have to decide between money and
big beautiful trucks. Exactly.
Disease, only because that disease might cost a lot for the treatment. But unfortunately there is rationing of care. This is always going to happen. There are some things that can't be cured without millions and millions of dollars, and we literally can't give that to everyone. And I understand that this is going to happen both in a private and a public system. The question is, can we get more people to live longer for cheaper? And the answer is yes, and that's why I think America should do it. That said, it's been a crazy week. I'm banned on Twitter, and so you're wrong to say that I will cite bankrupting statistics because I haven't looked at those, so I won't even cite them.
Wow.
Well, again, there's a Unfortunate you got banned on Twitter, but you're still allowed here on my show, okay? The real free speech platform. With that, I'll open it up to discussion. If you guys start talking over each other or something, I'll mute you and we'll yell and that'll happen. But with that, floor is yours, guys. Go ahead.
I'd actually want to start off and say, because I'm open-minded about this, right? Like, I understand not everything can work everywhere. I've listened to a lot of experts on this, and they say basically if you tried to copy-paste any system from Norway, from Germany, from any South American system and put it into America, it would not work. Not to say that the concept of socialized medicine wouldn't work, but that you couldn't just one for one say, yep, just take all those policies, do them exactly the same here, and everything will be fine. You would have to tailor this in a certain way. So just in good faith, can you tell me why we should not have socialized medicine in America, period?
Yeah, so I would look at in terms of some of the misconceptions with regards to like bankruptcies. Of course,
He said he wouldn't even talk about that.
The big boogeyman with the United States.
What over Twitter? I think Connor Points also got banned recently. Yeah, I don't know what I know Connor's banned too. I don't know what Connor got banned for, but I know a soy pill. It's just some weird policy that they have where they just take you saying that you're going to celebrate anyone's death, which soy pill said that he would celebrate a hypothetical person's death. They, for whatever reason, Twitter just really fucking hates that. Probably post Charlie Kirk, maybe that's the Elon policy after the Charlie Kirk stuff. Cars are bigger because they're not subject to retarded California standards if they meet a threshold. That is why California standards. I thought we just had federal government standards with regards to fuel efficiency. And my understanding is that does make cars bigger. That regulation, because like getting your car classified as like an SUV or whatever means you are subject to less stringent regulations. That's why nobody makes small trucks anymore. Nobody will pay big money for small trucks. They are not profitable car makers. Another example of retarded lawmakers being retarded. Sure, I'm just saying that is because we take more car trips and have bigger cars, that is kind of what affects how often Americans die in car crashes, and that is what in turn lowers our life expectancy. So we could have a really good healthcare system, but because so many people die younger in car crashes, it lowers our life expectancy, and it's not necessarily reflective of the care people actually receive. Can someone please debate admin costs in a WIC debate? One of the VCs I was in earlier was bashing Candy Crush article. Oh no. Oh shit, thanks for the $20, Grassroots.
I have an 18-foot-long Jaguar with a license plate that says Jaguar, and it has a 6.2 liters truck engine in it, and it's terrifyingly undrivable. You can pry it from my cold dead hands, and that's before we get to the motorcycles.
I appreciate the $20, Grassroots had you in. Listen, I like my 2012 Acura TSX. Okay, that's all. That's all I need. I don't know anything about it. There was one time I've probably told this on stream before, but I was driving on the highway, and my mom's car has like paddles behind the steering wheel, so if plus and minus, and hers changes the volume of the speakers in our car. Apparently, in my car, those are not for volume. Those are for fucking shifting gears or whatever if you're in fucking sport mode. And I pressed them, and like my car jolted a bit, but nothing bad happened. So, unit server, but they were doubting the benefits of competition. Oh, are you talking about the yeah, sure. I mean, I think it makes sense to be more skeptical of competition with regards to the health insurance market, but I'd have to do more reading. Like, I want to read the studies that King of Coast like cited in there with regards to the whether or not insurers competing really does improve outcomes. But it seems like I have no good reason to doubt that evidence, but I've heard from people who we both know that they don't believe that it's particularly good evidence.
Is that millions of people go bankrupt, which is false. That number is significantly lower.
What's up, South-Drama? World War III, inshallah. This is true. Make sure to like the stream. Then there's no World War III, okay? This is verifiable. This is a non-fun, verifiable contract that we have. Learn to drive a manual. I mean, learn calculus first so you stop arguing from vibes. I feel like I argue from vibes way less often than anyone else, but I agree. I've been reading a little bit of some causal inference stuff. I'm doing more of it. But then learn to drive manual. I have no reason to learn to drive manual, but...
The Jaguar has a steering wheel only so it doesn't look silly. It does fucking nothing.
Based? What I'm hearing is it's self-driving. That's essentially, that's a plus of it. It's not just trucks, it's cars in general. Car parts have fundamentally changed the city. Yeah, I agree. lanes, parking spaces. Yeah, I know. I hate. I want to move to Europe just because of some places there have nice walkable cities. Oh my god, I hate driving.
What's the misconception? Just that they're overestimating it, or they're calculating it wrong?
Well, the general misconception is that millions of Americans die.
What's up, Venezuela Kangaroo? How you doing? I'm doing good. Hope you are too.
Or can't afford healthcare, and they go bankrupt because of it. So even looking at the statistics in America, I think it's like of the bankruptcies that happen, it's like just going off dome piece. I think it's 0.1926.
He doesn't even have. I can't believe he has. He's like brought this up twice when Soy Pill didn't even mention it. And he doesn't even have the statistics on hand. He should have it written down if he's bringing it up like in his opening statement. And again, even after Soy Pill said he, didn't have opinions on it or didn't have statistics on it on hand.
6% of bankruptcies that happen are because of medical expenses, while in Canada, where we have socialized healthcare, people actually go bankrupt. It's about 0.3% of the population. So in the United States, you guys have about 500,000 to low estimate, high estimate is 670,000 people go bankrupt from medical costs. While in Canada, if we
agree,
the same for per capita, with you guys having about 10 times our population, that would equate to about 1.3 million people going bankrupt from medical costs in Canada.
Gee, the gym guy? Is Soy Pill the gym guy, or is this Soy Pill's the gym guy, right?
It's actually going to get into a really interesting discussion for me where maybe you'll just be teaching me things. Because one, I didn't know you're Canadian. And two, I was not aware that 1.3...
Listen, I would say, like, I could be smarter about this as well, but, like, bro, like, I drive 20 minutes to school, and then I take like an hour long class there, like an hour 15 minutes, and then like I drive like 20 minutes back. It's like half the fucking time that I'm like at school. I'm actually just driving to and from school, and it, I could take more classes at once and it'd be proportionally less time, but why would I do that?
3 million people in Canada do go bankrupt from medical costs. That's a completely new fact to me. So my question to you is, how in a supposed socialized healthcare system are they able to go bankrupt if they're supposed to be paid for by taxes and subsidized by the government?
Right. So the extrapolation that I'm making, because the United States has about 10 times our population. So 100 and...
It makes me feel genuinely bad for you that you don't enjoy driving. What? It's just like not something I enjoy. Why does that make you feel bad?
I think it's 137,000 Canadians a year go bankrupt from medical expenses.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you changed it to a per capita. Okay, sure. But let's say the 170,000, how do they go bankrupt? Like to what end are they able to spend money on healthcare that would otherwise be paid for by the government? Because my understanding is you in Canada do have socialized medicine, so...
Yeah. So a lot of that our medication is not covered. You still have to, whatever...
Driving is boring, not gonna lie. I mean, I prefer, I don't think this is an unpopular take or whatever. I hate driving like 20 minutes to go somewhere as opposed to like driving like if I take an hour or hour 30-minute long drive somewhere and I'm just like on the highway most of the time, like I don't know, I feel like I prefer that to like driving 20 minutes to the fucking grocery store, okay? Because like it just feels like a barrier when I just need to do something simple. It takes a while to do it because everything's so spread out. I can't take a nice 15-minute walk to the grocery store. I gotta drive 20 fucking minutes there. Watching brain rot on a train is goated. This is real.
Sounds like you need a faster car. I have a piece of shit Jaguar I'll sell you. That commute can be about 15 seconds.
Well, maybe I could afford a faster car if these super chats keep coming in. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Grassroots. I'm a conservative Iowa based. When I was at the UFA event with North did say I need a zippier car. Okay, my car is zippy enough.
That you're going to be becoming you have to take medication for basically the rest of your life,
real,
or at least until said condition is done. So that's where
this meditative takes drives up to an hour and a half or longer than 5 hours are amazing for the soul. I mean, yeah, I think. I do think it's more, like I said, the longer drives I can find. I don't know if meditative would be the word I use, but I don't mind driving to like a city where like the rest of my family is roughly 90 minutes away, and I'm just on the highway most of the time listening to music or an audiobook. But like I just don't like it when I have to drive for 20 minutes to the fucking grocery store. Okay. There's not much I do other than drive to the grocery store and to school, so
that 0.3% of the population actually runs into it, including, and I think the statistic is the same for the United States, that it's not just medical costs, but it's the associated impacts, whether it's loss of work, inability to continue working, or having meaningful employment. So we actually end up, it's more or less the same reasons.
This is, I think, for the meme numbers, that's true to my understanding. Is they rely on that to get the number up
in the United States and Canada. But again, and I think that's a fair, when you said, well, how could you with Canada having socialized healthcare? Well, it's not so clear cut.
So then my next question, which would lead back to an
relatable. I actually don't even know how to ride a bike. I'm sure I could figure it out in like 20 minutes. But I don't even know how to ride a bike. I do like walking though.
Argument or contention in this debate is this not just an argument that, hey, we should also be subsidizing these drug costs so people aren't going bankrupt from chronic illnesses that require drugs, right?
Right.
Whoa. Soy Phil. Wait, hold on. Writing is fine. Wait, subsidizing consumers instead of bringing the cost of the drug down? Subsidizing consumers? Okay, Soy Phil writing is fire. Wait, I agree. Let's subsidize consumers and not cap, not production costs, not cap the sale cost to consumers.
And we do. And in fact, you guys actually subsidize much of our prescription medication.
Is this the argument about how like our R&D departments pay so much? You know, we pay a lot.
That's not really. I understand what he's making. That's not actually really related to Soybeel's point, but
drug prices, or what do you mean by that?
Yes. So there's that, and our government has instituted price caps on medication, which, well, I guess some pharmaceutical CEO needs another hooker or another line of blow or something somewhere. So they're not going to pass the cost on to they're not going to absorb that cost. Of course, they're going to pass it on.
So I'm confused now because
what?
Because you said people are
going to. I guess there's that, and our government has instituted price caps on medication, which
like that's true. And it's true that pharmaceutical companies, what is the CEO point? Yeah, I don't know. So this part is true. Other countries negotiate drug prices down, and essentially pharmaceutical companies, what's up, Gavin? Great, welcome back. They engage in price discrimination, right? They sort of charge the U.S. a higher price and make up their R&D cost here, but in other countries they charge a lot closer to their marginal cost, right? Now, generally, when price discrimination increases output, it's actually a socially good outcome relative to, I mean, you could argue that the actual optimal outcome would be a more even distribution or whatever. But given the current state of how things are, the fact that they're allowed to price discriminate in such a way actually leads to more drugs being sold, and it's probably optimal compared to them not being allowed to price discriminate, right? So the concern is that if we do the same price caps in the US, they don't have it anywhere to make up their R&D cost, right? So they're going to do a lot less R&D. The margin that they're going to adjust on is investment. I don't know what he's saying by they're going to pass the cost on. They're not really, the cost is, in this context, decided by the government. There are some pricing strategies they could maybe do to make up the cost if they're losing on like other products by raising the prices of them, but that's not the primary thing they'd be adjusting. The primary thing they'd be adjusting is investment,
well,
into new drugs or into follow-up medication.
I guess some pharmaceutical CEO needs another hooker or another line of blow or something somewhere. So they're not going to pass the cost on to they're not going to absorb that cost. Of course, they're going to pass it on.
And even like the mindset there is a little weird. It's like, I hate when people do this. It's like, all these greedy corporations are going to be evil and pass the cost on or whatever. People do it a lot in the context of a bunch of different stuff, but like, it's just view it as changing what the most rational thing to do is on the margin. Okay. I don't know why they always like moralize it in this sense or whatever. Really, if you think they should be charitable and not pass the cost on or whatever, then they should just be charitable anyways and donate to much higher impact causes, like the Shrimp Welfare Project. Exclamation point shrimp in chat. CEOs getting hookers and blow is the cost mechanism for drug innovations. This is true.
So I'm confused now because
listen, there's nothing to suggest it isn't true, all right?
Said people are going, maybe it's not the majority, but explain to me then, to what degree are these 170,000 people going bankrupt from Canadian healthcare costs? And also, it's subsidized, these drug costs are subsidized, or they're not completely paid for, but they're just capped? Is this what you're saying?
Yes. So once you in addition to, so in our socialized healthcare, your physical care is covered. Anything after the hospital, that's on your dime. So even still, we would have to look.
There's no way. It's like I imagine it's like people pay co-pays and stuff still. It's probably not all on their dime still, right? Like it's probably not on their dimes, and I bet. What the fuck? I bet this is Fraser Institute. Is he citing Fraser Institute? That'd be funny. Not everything Fraser Institute is like makes is like bad or anything, but oh my god, I think he is. But like I bet before I read more of this, I bet they're doing something similar to what he was complaining about the US statistics doing, where they're either like saying if you have any type of medical debt or like large medical expense and you go bankrupt, like we're kind of count it as a bankruptcy for that's like caused by medical debt or whatever. I think he is citing this though, because he said this 0.3 number. Oh yeah, I've read well, I haven't read the whole paper, but I have this Starfuse. I actually gave this paper and another similar paper too, so I pay at the end, because at the end I called in because Wick was like, we'll get there eventually, but you know, Wick was like, yeah, this is the other paper by the same authors that has looking at a similar topic. Wick was like, he brought up essentially the argument that I'm going to take credit. Pretty sure he heard from me. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Pretty sure he heard from me about that. You know, pharmaceutical price caps and such would reduce like future innovation into drugs or whatever, and that's going to cost, you know, it's going to lower future people's life expectancy and stuff or whatever. It'll also lower currently existing people's life expectancy. But like Sopil was like, yeah, you know, I just don't really buy the argument that like we should sacrifice a bunch of like people dying now so like some future people will have like a little bit more life expectancy or whatever. He was essentially saying like future people like just don't matter very much. I you know, I called in and was like, hey, you know, I don't think you would say like the same thing about climate change, right? Like part of the reason focusing on fixing climate change is a good thing is because it'll make the lives of future people worse. To that, he just said like it's, you know, the concern of climate change is like human extinction, and then I said like, oh, you know, even if only 80% of the human population was gonna die, or whatever, like we still want to work on fixing climate change to save those hypothetical future 80% or whatever. And then I gave him these two papers and said the better argument is that pharmaceutical innovation mostly affects, at least in the short term, it seems to mostly affect follow-up medications and like non-novel drugs, which this paper finds. Existing research demonstrates that expected profits fuel R&D investments. Little is known about the novelty of these projects funded by these investments, relying on data that describe the scientific approaches used by large sample experimental drug products. We expand on its literature by examining the scientific novelty of pharmaceutical R&D investments following the creation of Medicare Part D program. We find little evidence that the positive demand shock implied by this program prompted firms to undertake scientifically novel R&D activity as measured by whether the specific scientific approach has been used before. They do use it. There's a dispute in the literature on this. What's your counter argument? That one, like it's over a relatively short time horizon, like it's over 5 years or whatever. And technically, I don't think this alone can like make super strong claims about welfare. There's reason to believe that more novel medication would have bigger effects on welfare. But like I think, you know, this would be like one part of the equation that a welfare function. Technically, this alone would not be able to like make any stronger claims on it. Two, that a lot of follow-up innovation is very important. I have some stats, I think, from when I prepared to do the live and learn stuff. But like obviously, like follow-up medication is very important for A, just reducing side effects. B, making sure that it works on every patient, because you know the patients have heterogeneous responses to medication. I bet now. I appreciate you. Joshua Johnson. See you later. This is this is one thing. As much as 63% of the products in the World Health Organization's list for essential drugs were considered follow-on innovations. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I thought I had more stuff on this. Government contracts, chance discoveries, failovers. There was another thing. I have to find a link for this or whatever. Evidence suggested a usefulness of follow-on innovation results from the role of products playing optimizing initial first-in-class drugs for practical use. There was another I swear I had another paper on it that was like, for the products covered by like Medicare Part D, it was something like over 50% of the R&D costs for that drug. Oh, what's up, North? Were actually after the initial release. Also, this is Fraser Institute, so discount that as you will. Now, when I want to talk about healthcare policy, live and learn. Is leftist bad? Oh boy. Hold on, we can talk in a second, I swear. There's another name for it. Leftists are bad, it's true. Follow up innovation. There's an evaluation of R&D costs for the top 10 Medicare Part D drugs, where 61% of R&D costs was incurred after first approval. What is a better argument? I give these soy pill too. This one is looking at, like, it says roughly the same thing, but it's saying, you want to talk about liberalism? We can talk about a second, North. Let me just get through this one thing here. This is saying, like, essentially, it affects, like, stuff that already has multiple treatments. We found a loss per development of products targeting illnesses that affect the elderly, but most of the effects were concentrated among products aimed at diseases that already have multiple existing treatments. Moreover, we find no increase in products targeting orphan disease or those receiving, which is like diseases only like a few people have, so they don't like typically get like almost any funding, or those receiving either fast track or priority review status from the FDA. This suggests that marginal changes in demand may have little effect on development of products with large welfare benefits. The last part on that is I have to read through some more studies to like be super confident in this, but it just seems like the evidence we have with regards to like the aggregate effect, like over like 20 or 15 to like 20-year time horizons. There are a few different studies by this guy named like Alfred Lindenberg or something, and then like Ace Moglu and Lin have their paper. It just seems like I would care more about the aggregate effects that they find over a longer time horizon. I would care about those more than this, which is not an aggregate effect, and it's over a much shorter time horizon. But anyway, and they are actually measuring the effect on like life expectancy as opposed to just the composition of R&D. Like I would imagine like their studies, like they're capturing the shift in the composition of R&D, and they're measuring just a total aggregate effect. But anyway, what's up, North?
The Hutch live and learn controversy continues to spread of liberalism versus illiberalism.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a utilitarian argument, I guess? I was curious.
About why liberalism is good, or
like, okay, so my general, I keep hearing a lot about outcome-based. Everyone wants outcome-based politics. So they want Trump prosecuted, and they don't really care how it's done. And the rhetoric that they're espousing is that the United States is going to be completely finished if Trump is not punished, and if our Constitution is unable to properly punish them, then you should just ignore the Constitution. My counter argument to that is you're probably going to be doing more harm in breaking the Constitution and leading to just general.
Yeah, I mean that's still
worse outcomes in general.
Right?
If you ignore, well, in a way, yeah. I guess their outcome base is more short-sighted and not thought through. Like it's like a baby saying, sure, "I want this thing," and they don't really care about. Give me is there like a steel man to an argument? Is there something that I'm missing here when I'm in these
you want
discussions
the
that are happening?
For their argument?
Or if there's something wrong with the logic that I'm espousing, that being
no, I don't think there's anything
following the Constitution, even if it means that like you can't prosecute someone who's broke the law as much as like Donald Trump.
I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong
can still be like a
logic. It would just be a dispute over like whether or not like you think like Trump has already broken the norms to such an extent that there's like not much sort of damage on the margin from sort of breaking the norms or rules in the opposite direction, and if that if doing so would actually lead to better outcomes in the long term because people recognize that they can't like get away with stuff the way that Trump might get away with many of the things that he's done, versus arguing, for your side that the harm done by breaking the Constitution or whatever laws or whatever norms that still exist, like whether that it would just lead to a more vicious cycle, or just set the precedent in the future that these norms have it would lead to more permanent damage,
moral
essentially.
intuitionist less than 3.
Okay, sure. That is their argument, is that if you can punch them properly, that they will be able to
90%
recognize
certain
that
this is the
they
case.
can't go outside of the norms, and thus they will operate within the norms. I don't necessarily agree with that, because by reinforcing using obviously
I'm saying I don't have a strong position on it. I just think that essentially you both are at bottom kind of outcome based there or whatever. I don't think anyone. Oh, well, maybe Ryan Malay, I don't know. Most people, regardless of their moral view, would hold that following the Constitution is not intrinsically ethical. They would just argue that it's a good norm to uphold, and it might, to some extent,
I was listening to a conversation between Ryan Getty and Food Shops over the idea of the rule of law. And basically they were trying to say that in order to preserve the rule of law, which is a part of liberalism, that Trump needs to be punished, and that you can't let criminals get away scot-free. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Part of the rule of law is that you have to let certain guilty people go if their rights are violated, or if you don't follow a certain process. Obviously you don't just suspect someone did something and then don't hold the trial at all and then you execute them. That's not the society that we necessarily want to live in. We want to be followed by some sort of rules and processes for committing justice. But
yeah, but everyone's if fucking Destiny and all the hardcore libs or whatever, they're opposed to Trump because he's breaking those rules, and they're just arguing that there needs to be some the two justifications essentially are either there needs to be some type of tit for tat, so these people know that it's unacceptable, and in the future they won't try to do the same thing,
sure.
And that so much harm has already been done that the marginal effect of breaking these norms or rules or Constitution again would just be the marginal harm from that would be pretty minor.
Well, if they take the position that, I guess it depends if you take an absolute position of does any harm to the Constitution constitute a general harm, or is it a relative harm in which I guess reinforcing. I think they're creating a new norm in which operating outside the Constitution is considered the most effective way to institute your politics, and thus we devolve as a society from something based off of laws to who can gain the most power, and that sort of just descends into civil war.
And
my argument,
my intuition would be that in the case of depending on how far you go, in the case of some criminal prosecution shit, if you're you just straight up did not listen to some of the Supreme Court rulings on the immunity stuff or whatever, which I don't know, I don't think you could ever actually prosecute people without the Supreme Court being on your side, I guess, because they would just get overturned. But if you somehow found a way to get around that, breaking that norm would probably be pretty bad. But also welcome back, Raj. I guess so here's so for the for the Iran stuff or whatever, I don't like that Trump, that the constitutionality of the strikes is pretty questionable. But
yes.
the military and executive power there has already been pushed to such a point where sort of Trump isn't crossing any new insane line when he does this or whatever. It's been something that's slowly been kind of eroded and conceded that the executive just implicitly has this power or whatever. So Trump doing a strike in Iran, even though the constitutionality of it is questionable, it's not that huge of a norm breaking or crazy line that it's crossing, because the norms have already been broken and the power the executive has there has already been expanded. So I think Destiny and other like liberals would just
Sure,
make a
but that
similar
kind of like
argument.
reinforces what I was talking about before, which is like we've created a new norm of operating outside the Constitution, and generally it's like
Sure,
done
but
harm
I think
to our country by operating out of that.
Right. The argument would be this violation, though, is going to A, have a lower marginal impact because these norms or whatever have already been shattered, and B, will hopefully prevent the same type of stuff doing in the people doing it in the future with regards to any of the conspiracy to the January 6th stuff, right? Like,
well, yeah. But the problem is usually a line that we try to draw in our society and try to draw in our politics is like if you're going to do something, you have to follow the Constitution, or if you think the Constitution is wrong, you can introduce an amendment and like violate the Constitution. But we're going into a world in which the Constitution is no longer like the line drawn in the sand that we won't violate. Then I think we're getting into very dangerous territory in which we don't know where the new line is going to be. When we're operating in like this illiberal, power-based world. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't have crazy strong opinions on it. I think ultimately, though, it'd just be
spitballing facts off you.
Sure, it'd just be a dispute over the long-term outcomes, basically.
Look, not fun. I'm gonna constitutional pull you, right? Where you're gonna be on Hutch's side. You're gonna be in the trenches with me.
I don't
you're
like.
no longer gonna be the econ streamer. You're gonna be the.
True. I was gonna say it's not like I have super strong opinions or whatever. It's just like not something I like focus on. So like I'm just not gonna, I just not like crazy strong opinions. I can tell you at bottom, like I am just gonna care about the outcomes, and like I'm not gonna give any like intrinsic consideration to the Constitution. And I don't think 90% of people would. Ryan Millay might, but other than that.
I sympathize with Ryan's position, though.
Oh my God!
In that, I think the Constitution is very good. Well, I sympathize. I don't fully agree with it. I think there's some things that he says is a little bit interesting, but yeah, I'm very concerned about drastically violating what was previously considered the line in the sand. I don't want to. I'd rather operate in a world in which I know like how shit it's going to go down.
Sure.
Plus, I think it's a little bit accelerationist, but that's just me. Alrighty, thank you for your opinions on this. So,
yeah, I appreciate it.
Everyone, make sure to like, subscribe, and share the Non-Fawn live stream.
That's true. Let's go. Hell yeah. Well, he left. Well, I appreciate it, North. He is like, he's for sure citing this. And also, it's kind of funny. He literally spouted out like these exact numbers. And it seems like he was acting like he like didn't remember them. But I'm not going to talk about the commies. I'm assuming like the leftists are the ones who are not all of them are commies, obviously. Like Destiny's not a communist, but the ones kind of sort of violate the norms and constitutional stuff that we have. Oh my God, stop going to the comments. Wait, actually, hold on. He's got the timestamp for me.
9.26% of bankruptcies. Americans die or don't get or can't afford health care, and they go bankrupt because of it. So even looking at the statistics in America, I think it's like of the bankruptcies that happen, it's like just going off dome piece. I think it's 0.1926% of bankruptcies that happen.
Okay, this doesn't have that number.
Of medical expenses, while in Canada, where we have socialized healthcare, people actually go bankrupt. It's about 0.3% of the population. So in the United States, you guys.
Research indicates that medical spending was only one of several contributing factors in 70% of U.S. bankruptcies, and that medical debt accounted for only 12 to 13% of total debts among American bankruptcy filers, who cited medical debt as one of their reasons for bankruptcy. Research also indicates that medical reasons were cited as the primary cause of bankruptcy by approximately 15% of bankrupt Canadian seniors 55 years or older. The U.S. Canada comparative analysis strongly suggests that bankruptcy statistics do not support arguments for government-run health. Well, I can agree with that point. Okay, why are we yapping bankruptcies again? Because I'm just curious what we're citing here. Apparently there's other studies since the mid-60s have consistently concluded that medical bills are a relatively minor part of the debt problem. It's not a very long paper or anything. I don't see anything completely outrageous. I just realized I heard my cat sneeze. Like, you can't see him, but look at that guy. Look at that guy. That's crazy.
At, say, something like Blue Cross, or I don't know what would be comparable in the United States, like a private insurance in order to cover it, and then it's tailored to whatever plan you could afford. So, a family plan in Canada, husband, wife, 2 kids.
Fine specimen. He is a little fat.
Anywhere from 300, say, even up to, say, 500 for a decent, which would include things like eye coverage, maybe an ambulance trip, and kind of those basic things, dental care.
I understand.
Not funny, still live with your parents, yeah.
But then let me loop this back to like the main kind of crux of the argument, because if the argument from here is, hey, there are still problems that can exist in a socialized healthcare state or something that's heavily subsidized by the government, I acknowledge at the beginning, I completely agree. There are plenty of shortfalls like waiting time.
Look at this guy. He's not this bad from every angle, all right?
Times, quality of care, specialists, and as you said, yeah, if they don't cover everything, it would seem like maybe some.
See you later, North.
Even in socialized countries, but to me, this would indicate that we should pay more for it. We should tax more, and we should subsidize those things even further, so that no one goes bankrupt. What is your reason then that we shouldn't do this?
Well, so in Canada, our healthcare is funded through general revenue, so it's collected through all taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in Canada, we spend the newest figure is about $19,000 per family, and I think comparatively, the United States pays about, I think it's expected.
Damn, your cat looked like the number 0.
25,000.
Yeah, that was right, 30. That sounds right.
Hold on, I missed what he said for the reason why.
In Canada, we spend the newest figure is about $19,000 per family, and I think comparatively, the United States pays about, I think it's expected to go about 25,000.
Yeah, that was right, 30. That sounds right.
Family. Yeah, so I guess there is a bit of I think for a solution and why we should not.
Mike, he's just not answering.
I think
it's just America rich here. I agree, and I complained about Soy Pill citing the stupid statistic before, but like,
because
he's like not answering Soy Pill's question was why don't we just subsidize stuff more
even further so that no one goes bankrupt? What is your reason then that we shouldn't do this?
And then.
Well,
I guess Soy Pill hasn't explicitly brought this up, but the point would be, there'd be corresponding like price negotiations and lower admin costs that would bring the cost down enough such that we could subsidize it.
In Canada, our healthcare is
needs, and as you said, yeah, if they don't cover everything, it would seem like maybe some people still go bankrupt, even in socialized countries. But to me, this would indicate that we should pay more for it. We should tax more, and we should subsidize those things even further so that no one goes bankrupt. What is your reason then that we shouldn't do this?
Well, so in Canada, our healthcare is funded through general revenue, so it's collected through all taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in Canada, we spend the newest figure is about $19,000 per family, and I think comparatively, the United States pays about, I think it's expected to go about 25,000.
Yeah, that was right, 30. That sounds right.
Family. Yeah, so I guess there is a bit of I think for a solution and why we should not fund more. I think because people actually don't take their healthcare seriously. Discussion
was more MAID than actual healthcare estimates not fun. Well, they haven't gotten to MAID yet, but I did hear them talking about MAID towards the end.
I'm a living embodiment of it. I don't take my healthcare seriously. My doctor doesn't even take my healthcare seriously. So
wow.
Yeah. I
so your prescription is why we shouldn't subsidize healthcare is because a projection of your care seriously. Like I'm not trying to be mean to you, but it's like, why is this a reason not to help everyone or at least attempt to, just because people don't take it seriously or some people don't? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. I have no problem with someone that actually like needs care. Like actually genuinely they go to a hospital and they need help. And that compounds into many other issues that we could talk about with regards to wait times within Canada compared to the United States, the quality of care, the doctors that are actually being recruited. And so like this ends up becoming a big compounding issue, which I agree with you.
This was actually enjoyable though. Oh yeah, I mean this is true. I know it's crazy they actually talk about policy for once.
I would love to see, like I said, whether it be a hybrid system where everyone has access to it. And even I agree that, if someone wants to opt out.
So everyone has access to Hitler, okay? They can just opt out of Hitler.
Okay, great. I think that's a fantastic idea. And I would love to see movements for that. I think Alberta and I want to say Quebec have started exploring using private hospitals or private clinics in order to deal with the backlog with regards to wait time and actually giving that kind of two-tiered system. So I agree.
So didn't Hutch say he'd vote for Epstein? I don't know if he explicitly said it. He asked what Epstein's policy platform was, what the comparison was between Epstein and his son, right?
But that. So I don't want to come across as though like, you should stand outside a hospital and if anything happened, well, shit, you're just, go to the wolves.
I guess just a question on my end real quick though, right, is maybe I misheard your opening, you can correct me, but did you not call socialized healthcare like evil at the beginning of this debate? So if we want a system...
I was wicked oppressive about it.
Not evil system.
Yeah, half evil,
the true centrist.
Yeah, there we go. Finally, they bring it up.
Right. Well, so if we want to talk about the potential pitfalls, I'm sure, this is actually starting to make waves in the United States with regards to MAID or medical assistance in dying, which under compassionate grounds, the government could offer to kill you, to put it bluntly.
Wow.
What's wrong with a legal avenue for suicide for people with chronic painful...
Why would that not exist under 50% Hitler system with a public option? That already exists to a lesser extent in the U.S. Like there are states that allow like euthanasia. I think it's state by state whether they allow it or not. There are hoops you have to jump through, but they already to some extent allow it with regards to or with our private system. Who is this egghead? This guy? So I call this out too, LMAO.
Why would that be an argument? Social
hopefully.
You could get that privately too, right?
Right, and I agree with it in theory. I'm still kind of a liberal at heart, the compassionate line. But we have seen instances where people were given like what was the right word? Their daughter.
Oh wait, Hutch son or Andrew Wilson daughter? Yes or no? Obviously Hutch son. That's not even a question. For any disagreement I have with Hutch, which I don't think I have like that many. For the issue is that Hutch takes like controversial positions on it, whatever. I just don't have like strong opinions on that because it's all about like optimal messaging or whatever the fuck. That's not anywhere close to Andrew Wilson.
Weren't even correct, or they were ineligible, and doctors decided to do it anyway.
Okay.
So
I mean, again, this sounds like a mistake. We don't have to go into a specific case. I'm aware this could go wrong, and you can.
But a bad argument is that government has incentive to get their citizens to kill themselves, so they actually run a system share at a lower cost to retarded argument, obviously. But
have bureaucratic fuck ups where you killed someone you weren't supposed to.
It's also, and JJ McCullough like jumps into at the end as well to talk about this. But the way MAID like got instituted in Canada, it's like through a fucking Supreme Court case. Like it's about like you having a fundamental right to die or to choose how you die.
That surgeons might cut off the wrong leg, and this is bad, but this is not, an inherent trait of socialized medicine. This is just a thing where people fucked up and they shouldn't do it. I agree. The criteria should be a lot stricter if we're going to be killing people. But again, if we're talking about whether or not we should have socialized medicine, I've yet to hear. Here's a big reason for me. If you look at all of the spending of all of the countries, and you look at how much more our spending is, you can literally draw a bar over every single socialized section of ours, Medicaid and Medicare, that is socialized by the government, and it's almost on par with all of these other countries. The big giant gap that puts us at more expensive is the private industry. It seems to me that the private industry is what you described in your opening. It's bureaucratic. It's inefficient.
Wait, what?
The spending of all of the countries, and you look at how much more our spending is, you can literally draw a bar over every single socialized spending, and the section of ours, Medicaid and Medicare, that is socialized by the government, and it's almost on par with all of these other countries. The big giant gap that puts us at more expensive is the private industry. It seems to me.
This is how I do. I don't even know if I for sure understand. He's saying
the private industry.
Oh, I don't understand what he's saying.
Here's a lot stricter if we're going to be killing people. But again, if we're talking about whether or not we should have...
Is he just saying that, like, as a percent of GDP or whatever, we spend roughly the same amount as other countries with regards to public health care?
Medicine. I've yet to hear. Here's a big reason for me. If you look at all of the spending of all of the countries, and you look at how much more our spending is, you can literally draw a bar over every single socialized spending. And
spending more sounds like a richer. Yeah, it's obviously that as well. I don't get his argument, but it seems wrong. I think I just don't understand what he means by this.
The section of ours, Medicaid and Medicare, that is socialized by the government, and it's
like the section of our healthcare spending that is Medicare and Medicaid,
with all of these other countries, the big giant
almost on par with other countries.
gap that puts us at more expensive is the private industry. It seems
There's a giant gap that puts us more expensive as the private industry. I would imagine if you look at what's up, Dylan Thomas, welcome back. So I would imagine, have we gone over all the new files released with non-final over them? Oh shit, it's over for me. So for one, I would imagine if you broke it down into like per capita spending, like Medicaid and Medicare would have higher per capita spending for healthcare than other countries' public option or whatever, because they do stuff to get the price of drugs and stuff lower, right? But if we're just saying like the percent of, and I don't know if that's what he's saying, or if we're just saying like, you know, if the U.S. spends like 8% of, I think we spend more than this, but like 10% of GDP on public health care, other countries also spend roughly 10% of GDP on public health care, and it's the fact that we also have people in private health care that gets us to spend like 15% of GDP on healthcare in total.
Seems to me that the private industry is what you described in your opening. It's bureaucratic, it's inefficient, it's not connected because you've got all these different systems and all these different hospitals and all these different insurers working not in tandem, but kind of against each other and competing and not sharing information. And it seems to me like this is more inefficient, both cost-wise and healthcare-wise. We don't have a longer life expectancy. We pay more.
Oh my God.
Should I not be?
It's true that admin costs are higher, right? But like this isn't a straw man, but this isn't bad faith, but this is a little harsh, I'll say. Admin costs for most things could be lower if they're only like one producer. Like we could reduce admin costs in the fucking car industry by only having one car company manufacture all the cars and have the government grant them a monopoly or have the government like own and control it, right? It's the other things that come as a result of that we are concerned about. So for one, there are cases in which admin costs might reduce total healthcare spending, right? And now most people don't like the way this happens, right? But like, requiring prior authorization for treatment will reduce the amount of potentially unnecessary treatments that people get. And that can, even if that raises admin cost because you have to process the treatments and stuff and get authorization before you do it, that could raise or lower total healthcare spending because the savings in treatments is more than the cost on admin stuff, right? That's why private insurers do that. They're profit maximizing. Not having competition between insurers, obviously their competition in the insurance market is a little more complicated than competition in other markets, but that can potentially have bad outcomes as well, right? You would expect generally, all else equal, the less competition there is, the sort of worse deal that they are able to get away with regards to how much care they offer to patients and stuff. Non-fun is racist to me. As I wrote my testimony in the non-fun files, he asked me, why do you look like boiled chicken? Still had nightmares from it. I'm so sorry, County Grape. So why are we blaming our private industry, not like our public option that only serves 7% of our population, being comparable to their systems are fully public in other places? Yeah, I don't know. I don't get like exactly what he's even trying to say. And the things I can think of, what he's trying to get across are not, in my view, good arguments.
Supporting something that seems to be working in lots of other places, just at any degree. It doesn't have to be single payer. It doesn't have to be universal healthcare, Medicare for all. We abolish private insurance. But I mean, it just seems clearly that what we're doing is costing too much and not getting people to live longer. So what is your prescription then if not to move?
Causal inference is my passion.
Okay, let's tax people more and put more money into a system that is more controlled and centralized.
I would probably look at more, as I had stated in my opening, that more of a holistic approach. Like I can give the anecdote that when I went to my doctor and I was just saying like, yo, basically I'm a fat fuck. And he goes, you want a pill for that? Like, to me, that was actually kind of astounding. Like, hey, Tubby, are you exercising? What are you eating? Are you getting enough sleep? What?
Okay. Why the fuck? Why would he not offer that? What do you think first of all, what do you think our patients are more likely to do? Take a pill or to exercise and do all this stuff or whatever? The doctor can't really enforce you to exercise or whatever. He can give you the recommendation to. Technically, he can't force you to take the pill, but like patients are just more willing to take the pills or whatever. And then like, because it's easier. And what do we think that does to total healthcare spending? That probably brings total healthcare spending down, right? Like that. Like what? Is that not a good thing? It means other people have to spend less subsidizing you if you're not a fat fuck because you take GPL once or whatever.
What kind of issues are you following?
Yes, a soy pill. Base.
And so I think when we no longer become like an actual healthcare system and it's just pushing pills, I think that there is a big problem with that.
Sure.
So,
I mean, you can't have a pill for everything. That said, I mean, specifically for fat people, I think Ozempic is a fucking miracle drug, considering there's hardly any downsides. But even if we don't want to be paying to get skinnier, because I agree, there should be more personal responsibility and health education. All of this stuff is not to say that you can't have better healthcare and also be teaching people how to eat, how to diet, how to exercise, and promoting that more. But unfortunately, it seems to me in every single country where we try to say, hey, what if we just told people to be better? This just doesn't work as much as I want it to. If you look at, abstinence-only education, hey.
Also, non-Fonso can't believe Sopo got banned on Twitter for being base. He made a mild joke on Twitter. Yeah, I know.
Don't be dangerous. Don't have sex. Don't worry about the condom.
It's frustrating.
Because if you don't have sex, you'll never get a...
Well, it's not that frustrating for me. It should be frustrating to Sopo.
Yeah, cool. Ideally, this would make everything better, but this never happens. People still do the things. People are still going to eat. People are going to be lazy. They're not going to work out. So do we look at the ideal world where everyone just does the right thing? Sure. The libertarian, what if markets controlled for everything works? But it doesn't work when we look at reality. So we have to have something to back up the fact that millions and millions of people don't have healthcare, that tens of thousands of people die because they don't go get preventable care that they should otherwise, maybe because of money. This is not the bankrupt statistic. This is just how many people are dying from it. And it's like, well, we can solve this. We can literally just say, hey, it does not...
I haven't looked deep into this issue. The highest number, which I believe is just a meme number from that Lancet study, is the one that Bernie cites. It's like 68,000 people in the U.S. die a year due to lack of health insurance, which is like a lot, but it's not like, even that number is not like super crazy compared to the potential even pitfalls of whatever single payer systems. Oh, what's up, Postronomy? Price cap, healthcare, $0, problem solved. This is true. Lancet needs to be shut down. This is real.
Cost you that money, and it's not going to be solved by going, hey, everyone's just go work out. Oh, Michelle Obama tried it, RFK Jr. is going to try it, and they're not going to do it. Like, I wish they were, but they're not going to.
No, and I agree, and I think whether it is in terms of...
I also, does he think like doctors weren't recommending people to work out before the pills were invented? Like, I bet if he had told his doctor he was a fat fuck before, Ozempic and what are the other ones, fucking Wegovy or whatever the hell, before those were common, he would have said, you need to work out more, you need to diet better.
Incentive structure. It could be that there was a big propaganda push. What was it, in the 50s, I think, in the United States, that talked about having more kids. There was a whole national, I believe, campaign that was going along with that, or even like the adjusting people's eating, I guess, with even regards to like the food pyramid.
Yeah, this is true, Starfuse.
But now that whole thing has gone away to a different, the plate, whatever, the plate model or whatever they call it. Yeah, so I think having those kind of
why are we doing this now?
In order to incentivize, whether it is like, hey, if you're healthy,
didn't Soy Pill just say that he wants more like this type of health education, bro?
You don't pay as much, let's say, for healthcare costs.
What does healthy mean? I want to explore this hypothetical because this is something that I would agree with on paper, but I think it's incredibly idealistic because you can't take into account, because you mentioned edge cases at the beginning, but what we're talking about is not going to be edge cases. We're going to be talking about, one, healthy, which is an almost impossible metric, right? Are you healthy as in you're skinny? Are you healthy as in you work out a lot? Are you healthy in terms of like whether or not you're prone to cancer or diabetes? Or are you one of the millions of Americans who are born with some pre-existing condition that just fucks you? And it's like, hey, did you get born with one leg? Well, guess what? Your healthcare just costs more inherently. Now it does already, but now we're going to also subsidize people who don't have that disadvantage and further widen that gap. That seems insane to me. As much as I'd like to say, yeah, I want to pay less taxes.
What if private insurers were good at this? I mean, to be fair, we ban discrimination on you can't, insurers can't discriminate based on like smoking, can they? I don't believe they can anymore. I think we banned a lot of that stuff. So
I don't smoke like some idiot, or because I go to the gym, that'd be cool. But it does not seem that this is going to work the way out for most people the way I want it to. It would just help, the people who are within the norm and also making good choices.
Well, unfortunately, Ross, I think you mean was good. And I can't really reform it anymore. You need to make a new agency. Just USA ID cuts what we owe to the shrimp welfare to make up for it, $12. We should just reallocate the USA ID budget to the shrimp welfare. Okay, that's what's worth it.
Right, and I think we have to kind of, I would say, maybe look at things in generalities and also in terms of like certain edge cases. Like if you are born with a deficiency, like, sorry man, God just gave you a shitty hand and them's kind of the breaks.
Yeah, but why make that worse, right? It already is bad for them. Why then say, and also you are ineligible for healthcare subsidies, right?
No, in fact, I'm agreeing with you. So if someone's dealt like a shitty hand in life, I have no problem actually helping that person that needs it. Like someone that actually needs that assistance. I have no problem with that. I start getting a little leery when it's someone who literally just doesn't care, doesn't want to, and isn't interested in doing anything to actually, let's say, lessen the burden.
Wow.
Yeah, but Soypill's question, just real quick, Soypill's question is asking you, like, how do you define that? Where's the line? So, for example, if you had a guy like Asmongold who didn't brush his teeth, didn't take care of himself for years when he was a kid.
How do we differentiate between shitty hand and doesn't care? Obviously, it would be pretty, for someone who is skeptical to government. Or like, maybe you think private insurers would just be so a ton better at this or whatever, but yeah.
And suddenly he wakes up and he's like, I gotta fix it.
How do you make legislation to make discriminating based on doesn't care legal, but discrimination based on shitty hand not illegal.
It's all speaking Spanish in
doing,
my
I gotta
chat.
fix my life. Do they not get
Relational egalitarian solves this problem. Oh my god.
No, I don't think that they be denied healthcare, but obviously that there would be some type of scale, much like in private, that they look at what conditions do you have? Do you smoke? Do you do X, Y, and Z? Do you have these things? Okay, well then it's might cost you a little bit more because of the decisions that you're making.
Well, so here's the thing. How many people are doing this? Like, if you could show me an analysis that says, hey, in all these socialized healthcare nations, there are 20% of the people are taking advantage of it, they're completely lazy,
I think
and they cost all this money. To then show that to me,
the argument that you like usually I hear come up here, I wonder if people make it, is just that people seek less preventative care if they have to pay for it themselves. So whatever harm that we think there is from like the moral hazard that he's bringing up could plausibly be offset by the preventative care that people get because they're able to actually afford going to like regular doctor visits that you know, stop problems earlier and for cheaper and such. I don't know for sure how true that is, but you know, that's typically the argument I hear.
and say, and somehow they still pay less and have longer life expectancy. I'd say, I don't fucking care.
Oh my god.
System where half of people are just not working because they don't give a fuck, and it's like, yeah, that sucks. And I think these people have moral failings and should be better. But if it's working, then I don't care. I really don't. And yeah, it could be better. Yes, we could incentivize things. Maybe we could, you know, get more programs out there, make, you know, gym subsidies. I don't know. But like ultimately, it doesn't seem to be the case that these people who
True. We should have gym vouchers. You need gym stamps, bro.
are not taking care of themselves, because
Fuck food stamps. Put it all in the gym stamps.
in every country are burdening the system so much that it breaks, right? Like, this is any welfare system is going to be taken advantage of. I used to support the concept of means testing welfare, like with drug tests, but ultimately it seems to me that when you put this lever of you can't have this money until you prove this thing to me, it just costs more money to check for that than it does to ignore the fact that some people are going to be lazy and not follow the rules.
True.
Again, you keep bringing up cases of things that I probably agree with, but ultimately when I press you on a prescription, you seem to agree with me that like, hey, maybe we should ultimately do this. It will be better for everyone. So do you even disagree that like more socialized healthcare would be better? Like, would you rather live in Canada than America right now? I'm a little confused as to like what you're actually against, or if you're just against the bad parts of socialized medicine, which I probably am too.
Well,
It's so hard to understand that a public system could make smokers get private health care, but our current system already punishes people for smoking. True. Well, I thought we banned insurer discrimination for smoking, right?
probably say
Obviously, they have to pay more for the care they get, but
if I had a choice,
if that's what you mean.
Canada and the United States, it would probably be the United
Do
States.
people with gym memberships even go to the gym? Probably not many of them.
Okay.
So,
And can you tell me why?
They have to pay more for insurance. I thought we banned insurer discrimination on that, but maybe I'm wrong.
the economic opportunity, the general cost of things are significantly cheaper.
Oh,
in the
just for
United
healthcare,
States.
not country. Just for healthcare. Obviously, America's better. I'm not going to ever say that Canada's better than America, but just for healthcare. You got fucked in hockey. We're going to fuck you.
No, because they're gonna made me do it. Say it.
Everything else now too. It's called soccer now, by the way.
I suck.
They allow non-smokers to pay less. Okay.
For healthcare, I would agree that, or sorry, I shouldn't say that. I agree. I think the United States system for healthcare is effective because it builds in the inherent greed of people. And so because
What?
okay, so the reason why I'm saying that is Canada loses about 1,300 doctors.
I agree with astronomy.
And only reason why is, I think rightfully so, if someone takes out several $100,000 in debt, they probably want to be compensated. As noble and charity driven these doctors might be, well, they took out significant burdens in order to do that.
Yep.
So I think with that built-in incentive structure, you need that. Like my own personal doctor, before she left, she's like, Canada healthcare sucks. Like, I literally make no money here. I'm actually poorer than someone being a manager at a grocery store. So what the hell am I doing? And this is a doctor.
Yeah, let's address this one. I agree, obviously.
I think my understanding is doctors in the U.S. do get paid more. I don't know how big the effect is necessarily on the quality of care with that specifically, but it's my understanding that we do at least pay more for doctors. Part of that might be also because I think a lot of other countries do this to some extent, but we also kind of restrict the supply of doctors because we restrict like the supply, or the fucking AMA can restrict the supply of like medical seats, like seats in medical school, and there's issues with other like occupational licensing for being a doctor between states and stuff. So some of it is probably that too. What's up, Momentum? God bless Iran. True.
America's a brain drain.
Doesn't Canada have a top 5 healthcare system in the world? That wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not sure.
A lot of industries.
It would depend on what, obviously. Doctors should make less money. True.
Doctors and like all the science, because we do offer incredible incentive structures for highly educated people in careers with like PhDs and masters and doctorates. The problem is this brain
If anything, we also, my understanding is in the U.S., in order to go into medical school, you usually have to get a 4-year degree in something else, right? In other countries, you don't have to do that. Like you can just go to college for 4-ish years and be a doctor. So we also, there's a big disincentive to being a trying to become a doctor in the US, because you have to spend a lot of time in college and then a lot of time in medical school, and then you probably need a bigger payoff at the end to make it worth it. So that's probably a reason as well. It doesn't all necessarily reflect quality or anything. So did you give it a Ron take earlier in stream? I did not talk much about it. I don't have super strong opinions. I think it's like in expectation, I would say probably slightly I lean towards it being net positive, but I don't know. What's up, RTE clearance?
Doesn't help the average person. This helps people who have a lot of money and go to specialists. So doctors make a lot of money from people who have a lot of money. It can pay for their crazy urologist who's like, yeah, I studied dicks for 20 years, right? But when I go to the general doctor, yeah, maybe they're paid more than they do in Canada, but I'm not getting really better care. I'm paying more. My insurance doesn't cover as much as I want, and I'm not living longer. I'm not getting...
I do think, I don't know how much you would attribute it to the doctors again, but I do think the evidence is that, we do generally get, for people who get care in America, generally it is better for, we have better outcomes.
Drugs that need me to stay alive. I am lucky enough that
copying BB's take. How I have not read. What am I copying BB's take on here? I've not read anything from Bethan's Bulldog about Iran, other than he has a pretty old post about the Iran nuclear deal. I think I've read that.
I can pay out of pocket for some stuff that other people can't. And so I don't understand why, maybe for you and for me, definitely, staying in America is better. Versus in Germany, the wait times for me for the stuff that I had to deal with, which was very non-life threatening, yeah, kind of sucked, because, they're saying, hey, I'm going to prioritize the guy whose spleen is exploding versus you who has a rash on their back. But that's not the case
on Twitter. I saw him on Twitter talk about the you ain't following him on Twitter. I mean, I don't see every post. I am following him. We are mutuals on Twitter. I saw him make a tweet that was like, Trump declares war on the good, broadly constructed, and people were asking if it was about Iran, but he just meant the Anthropic stuff. I haven't actually seen him give his take on Iran.
Most people, the brain drain from other countries doesn't really help them out. The general practitioners aren't 5,000 times better, even if they're getting paid a lot more. So yeah, for you specifically, I guess the question is, do you think that American healthcare is better than Canadian healthcare, just in general, for the average person? You mentioned the bankruptcies, and that's a valid point, but is it really the cost of it versus how long people are living and the quality of care? Is it really better? Do you have maybe I'm open to hearing an argument as to why it's not, but I don't really know any.
Yeah, so our
exploring a political twitch, U.S. Army veteran that was so disgruntled with the military-industrial complex, I swung far left and joined the Soldiers Party USA. Okay, based, I guess. According to Commonwealth Fund, U.S. is in last in all income nations and healthcare systems. Wow.
I think it was the Association of Nurse Practitioners.
If it's a random sub comment, 3 comments down from the main tweet, you must not be paying close attention. My bad. I'll be sure to read all of Bethan Bulldog's replies on Twitter now.
I believe this is out of Texas. And
I'm not mad about committee getting murked, but what was their purpose? What now? It's supposed to inspire some revolution or regime change in Iran.
And what they considered unreasonable.
I mean, they also killed some 40 other fucking Iranian officials, so we'll see what happens.
Wait time to see a general practitioner, I believe, was 51 days, so about 2 months.
Okay.
In Canada, the bare bones minimum, we've seen upwards of 49 weeks to see a doctor. I believe it's 49.
This is the minimum to see a general practitioner?
That's the extreme. That's the worst case scenario. And I believe I was out of Newfoundland.
Okay, so in Newfoundland, some people are waiting a year to see a GP, which that's awful. Okay, fair.
Yeah, and so and those wait times have only been getting worse. There's many stories. I believe since 2018, 100,000.
I don't have a good source for this on hand. In fairness, I believe Canada literally has the highest wait times out of all the countries with single payer healthcare. So Canada is probably they are talking about specifically Canada right now, but Canada is probably somewhat of an outlier there. I think generally, why can't he just cite data on it? Yeah, I know it's frustrating, but he's too dumb. Okay, give him some slack. You probably could have a single payer system with not as high as wait times as Canada, but there's just generally going to be a trade-off between the quality of healthcare and access there. So
1,000 people have died just waiting to see a doctor.
Okay, so I was going to contest that before, but that
we say 1,000 people
have died just waiting. Worse, there's many stories. I believe since 2018, 100,000 people have died just
100,000
to see a doctor.
Since 2018.
Okay,
And so you want to
I was going to.
I'm afraid the Iran strike may be based. Like I said, I think I lean towards it being net positive. I wish it'd be better if there was some congressional approval for it, but like I was just talking to North about it a little bit earlier. It's not like that big of a line to cross at this point. We've unfortunately just given the president quite a bit of power there. And I could see it going poorly, but in expectation, probably net good.
I'm going to contest that before, but that statistic really does matter to me. So I want to explore this. So maybe you know more than I do about this specific thing. And I do actually just want to ask: 100,000 people are dying because they are waiting. Are these people waiting in the same way like someone who's waiting for a kidney transplant is dying? Are they waiting to see a GP because they just want to check up? What is causing these deaths?
He's not going to know, is he?
Hey, if I got to see a doctor, this would be okay. However, I don't get to see a doctor because there's 60 people in front of me in a queue. Like, do you know more about that statistic?
I'll try and go off the dome piece a little bit, but I'll check.
Hey, I've been off the dome this whole time.
Bring up another Fraser Institute study. Come on, you can do it.
I think with regards to the 100,000, that is people that are just on wait lists.
My reference is that NHS wait times aren't great. I know NHS wait times are also quite bad, but I think Canada has longer wait times than NHS. I could be wrong. God, there are so many. I never trust just like if I just Google like healthcare wait times by country, everything is too sensitive to what what you mean by wait times and what assumptions you make about whatever. It's like I can't trust anything off the like first result in Google, but I just looked up wealth instead of health. Nice one. Okay, OECD. Waiting times for cataract surgery. K is down here. Where's Canada? I don't even see Canada's not even on here. Okay, well, goddamn. Wait, the US isn't even on here either. Oh, there's Canada. What is this? Appointment of specialist. Canada's the highest tier. Then where down here? UK is there. Canada's number one here as well. Aren't we all Dylan? Oh, I'm just worried about the Ayatollah. I mean, I don't know. Oh, what's up, Seeker? That's because we suck. Real. I don't know how much the effect killing the Ayatollah will have. We'll see.
In addition to, I think it was 23,000 people have died.
I lean towards it being net positive, but I don't know.
Waiting in ERs.
Okay. So they are in need of immediate care and aren't getting it because they're impacted.
Yeah. And so...
and do you just, again, this isn't a gotcha. Do you have the comparison?
Although, we're never going to do this debate. We did also kill... I still lean towards it being net positive, but we killed like 4 of his family members or something as well. But, you know.
America? Like, I know it's not going to be the same per capita. It's
collateral damage.
Going to be different, but like... Because again, wait times, like as you're looking this up, I'm not trying to throw you off, but like, yes, wait times are bad. I don't like the idea that wait times get extended when you try to cover them. Yeah,
it's a world population review. Is this, what is this for? Emergency room? Yeah, ER waiting time. US says 24, Canada 126, 112, Germany 22. Germany beats us slightly on this one. So does Sweden. Canada's not the highest in this one. His many successors named. Fuck, I screwed up spelling on that. Did you? Successor. Oh, yeah, I think.
Go ahead. Sorry, you got it.
I think it's not just that so because they killed him and also like 40 other members of the Iranian government or whatever, it is, I think, probably going to be complicated for them to name a successor in a reasonable time span. And, the hope is that is going to create enough conflict. It's going to create enough internal division. It's going to create enough chaos that regime change becomes much more likely given the, now ensuing chaos in the government.
Yeah, I did look it up. 200,000 people die annually in U.S. emergency departments waiting on care.
Okay, right. So
that's not what people mean when they
I guess
are talking about that. Not all of that implies that they could have been saved even if waiting times were lower. What people mean is like the wait times or whatever is like a but for causing their death. I'm not sure. They don't. I don't think people want just the number of people who died waiting for healthcare. Even Bernie cites, like I said, 68,000 a year, not 200,000.
This is actually to your point, not that.
Also, not fun. I am in the worst place of all time, my home country of Pakistan /years. Oh boy. Dude, aren't fucking Pakistan and Afghanistan fighting as well right now? It's just like not that big a deal compared to the Iran shit. Good luck, Rosh.
Oh, I got you. Ours is worse. Obviously, it's not worse per capita, but also it's
terrible.
like
Terrible.
It's terrible.
yeah, it's terrible. But it's also like, okay, but are these wait times?
Who are they?
Is the like cost of these wait times?
I thought it was last I read, it was like a council of like the Supreme Court justice and some other fucking people who are making the decisions as of now.
Solved by socialized medicine? The answer is no. People are still dying. In fact, sometimes more people die from this, and that's bad. But does this outweigh the fact that more people are living longer, that we're spending less money? These are the trade-offs that I look for, and like what system should we adopt? And so it's a valid point to say wait times are bad. That's why I said at the beginning, yeah, like they're not perfect things. Wait times do fucking suck, and apparently they're lethal wait times for certain things. But does this now outweigh the cost of, hey, but everyone else lives like has a higher life expectancy of 40? We're spending less money. More people have access to better care in general, and if they want, like I said, because you agreed to this, if people are dying and can afford not to, I don't want them to die anyway. Obviously, like no one does. But I do like the option of, yeah, if you do have the money to super pay out of an emergency, I think you should be able to. It sucks that poor people can't, but I don't think you should be limited by the government to say, sorry, we can't help you because then we'll have to help everyone. Did you bring enough socialized healthcare for the whole class? Like that is dumb. But does
at least we get this.
Oh, therefore we should keep the American system. I'm not quite sure about that.
Right, and that's why I think
Obviously, the point he should be making is probably a trade-off between equality and access.
having a blended type of approach.
But he's not doing very good at being specific about that.
Whether it is, there is the
We're just doing a ton of memes.
like option, or even, hey, if you're Jeff Bezos and you need that sweet baby blood for whatever you're doing, okay, fine. Like I wouldn't see a problem necessarily with someone that has the means to do it in order to pay for it. And we are seeing improvements with regards to Alberta.
That's what Soy Pill just said.
Quebec, where people are actually preferring, even though we still, through taxation, even though we still fund that, there are people that are willing to go above and beyond to, go to a private clinic.
So it seems that we're in agreement that a hybrid system would be better because at the very least we could both agree someone should have another option if they want it. Everyone shouldn't be forced to take the same thing. But then my question would be, if you view socialized healthcare as evil, why is it evil if more people...
Oh, welcome back, Papa.
Assuming this is true. Maybe you have a number that shows this is not true. If more people are living longer and we're spending less, why is this bad?
I don't disagree that if people are living longer, but I think we have to look in terms of people's the quality of care that they're receiving. So I was looking at
Okay. Can we do? Can we be smart here? Can we?
For the United States, you guys
make a good point.
I think it was between 80 and 90% of respondents said that they found their healthcare either satisfactory or good. While in
Why is that the thing we're citing?
Canada, I believe it was 67% of Canadians.
I don't think that's totally irrelevant. But I agree, you should look at sort of better identifiable examples of how healthcare is actually performing. I don't think that's 90% of Taylor's brain, assuming me Tyler, lives paycheck to paycheck. Did they ask about Alberta? They're talking about it a little bit. I'm really drunk, but I do have questions. Oh boy. This is face draw. I'm going to start using this as an insult. Okay, I'm stealing that from you. I don't think that figure is completely irrelevant, but why not just talk about like readmission rates or like stroke survival rates and stuff like that? Why?
Canadians view our healthcare or the coverage or their care was actually unsatisfactory.
Okay. I don't know to what degree I take this as valid.
I hate that.
Survey results is so useful.
This is wild to me. And I just Soy Pill, is it the same on your chat? They can't speak English.
Everyone in my chat is speaking Spanish. I have no idea why.
English is blocked. It's blocking English messages in YouTube chat.
Wait, what?
It's blocking super chats too.
Are you serious? Wait, hold on.
You can super chat in Spanish, but not in English.
I just said test, unless test is a false cognate in Spanish.
Like if you own the chat, it works. But like I've had people send me stuff.
Thing, right? I mean, at least people can communicate just fucking with you. The last thing you said, Tyler.
This wasn't saying. Did it actually block English messages?
Oh wait, hold on. Wait, I got in hello. It's got to be a flash mob. I see a hello. Someone said hello. All right, that's not a false cognate. Okay, go.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's fucking Soy Pill hello.
Sorry, I made a mistake. The longest wait is
chat with Bork. Not fun. Don't believe you.
60 point.
Not fun as a neoliberal. You have to deny surveys. This will be useful later. I do deny surveys that disagree with my priors. Okay. No, I'm like I said, what he was using surveys for, it was not as convincing evidence as the things that I am better correctly citing. And also, a lot of surveys are. Listen, consumer sentiment has been fucked up since COVID. Okay, that's what I'll say.
9 weeks to see a general practitioner.
Yeah, okay. This didn't make a huge difference to the argument. But it's still bad, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the longest wait to me matters a lot less to me than the. Well, the longest wait matters a lot less to me than the modal wait, the average wait, like whether or not they're dying while they're waiting, right? Which you did bring up, which is an important statistic. But just like, oh, this one guy waited a year. Like I think I waited a year for one thing that I've ever done before, and it was
put some stuff in Discord about what?
It was not life threatening. So the more important.
I don't see anything.
But remind me of what you're saying before, because at a point, and then a bunch of people started speaking Spanish.
Oh fuck, I don't know. I'm just going off. I'm going off the old brain.
Help us out.
Let me ask a super chat question that they gave me.
Is it Spanish? I had spent a while.
It's English.
Oh,
my question is this.
Lástima.
Okay. Would either of you support programs to incentivize healthy living in a socialized system? Seems like there are a ton of ways to change behavior over time, i.e. tax credits, sin taxes on sugar, things like that. Thank you for the $20, Divvy. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we already do this. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't agree with the idea of kind of sin taxes, because all those things do is it only impacts the people that are already impacted the most. And like, it's just in general, in terms of taxation, like just taxation in general, it impacts the people who already can't afford it already. So if they're kind of making, if all they can afford in their little food bodegas or whatever you guys have down there, if they can only afford is some sugary thing, well, they're going to go for it. But if there was, let's say, I don't know if it's for the United States, but there's actually,
I don't know what makes him believe that it will affect people who are more price sensitive more, and that might disproportionately be poor people. So it might be like regressive in that sense. But I don't know why we're saying it's. What do you mean mostly going to affect people who just have no other option?
No tax on, I believe it's non-prepared food. So like chips, or if you go to like a deli counter to grab a sandwich, but there's actually no tax on like vegetables or things like that.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I can also think of an example, maybe to your point. If you try to, I support the concept, again, this is an ideal thing, but not I think works in practice, of taxing cigarettes out of existence. However, what ends up happening is people are already addicted to cigarettes. So poor people who already shouldn't be spending all the money they do on cigarettes are now buying more at a higher cost and just kind of fucking them over. And this does not, have the intended result. Even
we can talk about some of that stuff later, too. I downloaded one thing.
And I agree with it. What really I think needs to happen for these sorts of things, you can have tax credits or subsidies for the gym, or you can have programs that promote healthy living, which again, are somewhat effective, but not that much. I think you have to make it so these businesses are completely non-profitable. Like it's impossible to profit. So here's an example. It's not health-wise, but this is gambling. So I kind of remember researching this recently.
Oh boy.
In California, it costs like $1 per hand to play at like a card room in a lot of places because they've outlawed gambling against casinos.
Yeah, I want to get through with this at least.
As well, instead, we're going to have you bet against this card room banker, and you're just paying $1 to play the game, and you're technically playing against a private company, not the casino. It's a dumb thing to get around the California anti-gambling laws, and which if you look deeper into it, is actually also kind of supported by the tribal casinos who want to make more money. The point is, what ends up happening is you just lose more money if you're playing in these places. And so all the people that are like, hey, gambling sucks all the poor people's money away. Well, it's like, okay, well now you're making them lose even more because they found a way around it and also spend the more money on that. And it's like, okay, what if we made it so that it costs way too much money? We're taxing you just to be a casino. So when you're not making 10% on every bet anymore. What if cigarettes? You're not taxing the cigarettes, so it's not at the point of sale, so people don't buy it. You're not, because the demand for an addictive substance is always going to be there. The demand for sugar is always going to be there. But what if you make it so that you have taxed now making the cigarettes, or taxed?
So I feel not understanding tax dividends. It doesn't matter whether or not the tax is on the production or consumption of it. It might there might be some context in which it kind of matters, but if the demand for cigarettes is inelastic, then if you tax the production of cigarettes, they can just pass that cost on to consumers, and people are still gonna buy them, right? Like it's the same. Like who you're not. It's the same thing either way. That's not how tax incentive works.
Done a VAT tax on all the materials that you need to buy it, or a property tax on like tobacco farms.
Well, VAT you get rebates for. The final burden is only on consumers.
I do think these things, I agree with the concept of kind of legislating or taxing sin out of existence, because these things are I don't think any legitimate business should need like a 12-step program to stop using their product. I think that's insane. Now, alcohol is obviously the one I think is probably impossible to get rid of, but I think for a lot of these we really can get rid of them, and we can also then promote healthy living through other things. All of this to say, though, none of this is mutually exclusive with socialized medicine. I think this would help socialized medicine a whole lot, but I don't think this is the alternative that's going to fix American healthcare, because now everyone will go work out and shit. Because even if I'm healthy, that doesn't mean I'm not going to get some weird appendix rupture that I might be worried if I can pay for or not. Yeah.
Right, and I think that's what we typically would associate with insurance is, the what ifs. Like not having health insurance, I think is insane to to not have at least something. Like, that's literally the reason why we have insurance on vehicles. Like, it might not be you.
Whoa. Whoa. Isn't this Hitler? What do you mean, bro?
You smoked one too many cigarettes and now you got fucking leukemia or something. I don't know.
Also, I don't know about Canada, but I don't know if there's a mandate for this on a federal level, but at least most states mandate that you get car insurance in the U.S.
To that end, then, like, do you think socialized medicine would then be the solution to getting 27 million people who are uninsured back onto some sort of insurance because they either can't afford it or don't know what to do? I don't know what the statistic is as to why they're not insured. I would assume most of them are worried about paying for insurance.
Well, so don't you guys already have like a national healthcare plan? Isn't that what Medicare or Medicaid or whatever, isn't that already a socialized healthcare option?
Yeah, and I think it works pretty well for the most part, but it doesn't work. It's not available to everyone. I mean, like, not if you make over a certain amount, these are pitfalls. For example, I don't qualify for Medicaid. I make too much money. And then, well, then I switched to YouTube, and now I do kind of qualify for parts of it, although my subsidies are going way, way up. It's not something that everyone has access to. The poorest of the poorest of the poor people almost definitely could just kind of get Medicaid for free. I mean, I know that at least exists in Medi-Cal for California. Like, the poorest of the poor are going to be insured, but the 27 million people are not uninsured because they don't have, or like they have access to Medicaid and they don't care. It's because they don't have access to the cheap healthcare and they don't know how to pay for it. Maybe some portion of them are just uninformed and could figure it out through Medicaid, but it doesn't seem to be the case that that's why enough people are.
And also, I don't know for sure the composition of this, but they're probably, some of them probably don't care because they're relatively healthy people. And they just don't think it makes sense for them to buy health insurance. I don't know for sure if that's going to be the majority of them or not, but I would imagine a lot of them are like young men who are healthy and don't think they need health insurance.
Uninsured. God, everyone is speaking Spanish now. This is
Yeah,
really distracting.
just real quick. You can get around it if you type O at the end of every word. If you just put O.
Wait, is there like a legit? What is this? Is YouTube implementing a law or something that's like English is banned?
This
is a troll
English,
wave.
You have to
You're being flash
something
mobbed.
foreign. And $20 to Tubi to say soy pillow, good O, Tyler O, bad
I mean, oh wait, never mind.
O. Thank you for the $20. But yeah, that's all you have to do. Type O at the ever like El Faco, Spanish O, works O. Okay.
Jesus
So
Christ.
just FYI. This is impacting me financially again because
Everyone's saying no hablo inglés and ayúdame. This is like maybe Trump was right. Maybe we need to.
Oh shit, it changed. Coverage not affordable, not eligible for coverage. Do not need or want is 26% of the people between ages 18 and 64 who are not insured. So it's not the majority or anything. Most people can't afford or are ineligible. Signing up too difficult or confusing. Cannot find a plan that meets needs. Lost job.
Support all the immigrants. I don't know. It's taken over.
I guess to.
I was here for the Wick. There's no way. It was just. There's no way. It was an actual fucking thing.
I guess I'm.
That was just, you guys are just fucking with them. There's no shot.
Why?
Listen, I have my own issues with YouTube chat. Okay, censoring messages, but there's no way it was just censoring all YouTube
At least some form of social
messages or all English messages.
Be a viable solution. Why is it evil? I guess.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the big point of contention. As I said, do you guys think?
Oh, say it. Made kill people.
On, do you think that was bad? I think I'm kind of
yeah, it's a little absurd, but yeah, I think most of them were bad. Although, hey, I think we got some data out of some of them, or maybe I'm confusing it because there's the Japanese 731, and it was like, hey, it turns out if you fucking microwave.
How do you feel about Japan's food regulation? I don't know much about it. I know people in Japan tend to have healthier diets, but I don't actually even know how much of that comes down to culture versus the regulations they have.
He dies, and it's like, great, cool. This is useless information. So yeah,
join bodies together, like twins together, to see what they do. Like, yeah, it's really disgusting that's. That those experiments happen. And the reason why I say that if we view that as evil, then in the ultimate form of compassion, if someone is saying, I need help, I don't want to die, I need help. And the solution is, well, how about we just kill you instead? That's not healthcare.
Oh, okay, so you're talking about MAID again, but again, this isn't a socialized healthcare is evil. This is MAID is evil, which is an argument, but that has nothing to do with whether or not we should have socialized healthcare.
I'm dying.
So a private company,
I need MAID right now.
They do the same thing, right?
Yeah, I suppose they could. But why I'm saying the socialized aspect of it, so during at the start of COVID, our Canadian government commissioned a study. How much is a human worth?
Okay.
We do the same shit. There's a statistical value, like the U.S. government. Actually, I don't know if the U.S. government makes it explicit, but there is a statistical value of life that every government will at least implicitly recognize, right? If you're deciding whether or not to, install guardrails on a certain section of road, you have to do the calculus of how many people will this guardrail save versus how much will it cost to put in, right? If you're fucking deciding whether or not to have ejector seats on planes, you're doing the same calculation. At least implicitly, every government has this, but I could be wrong. I believe the U.S. government does have a explicit statistical value of a human life or whatever.
All right.
And the number they came back with was about $60,000. That's how much it costs to keep someone alive.
Okay.
So once you start costing more than what you're valued, the government starts pushing people down that road.
So,
And so
okay.
Does he have any? I don't know if he's gonna have it. I'll say I don't think he has any evidence for that. He's just like saying that. The U.S. government uses a value statistical life to measure the benefit of regulation for reduced mortality risk. So I think this is HHS current central estimate of value per statistical life is $13.1 million. They do make it explicit, at least their estimate of what it is.
That's why
I see kind of what you're saying. You're saying if the government analyzes in a socialized system that you're costing the system more than it's worth to keep you alive and a functioning member and a tax-paying member of society, they will start now being incentivized.
60K is also certainly not Canada's stat value of life. To be fair, I think he good night, South Toronto. I appreciate you stopping by. I'll see you next time I stream. Probably not another 5-day gap, but you know, I got locked in a Kerbal Space Program. I think he was doing like the meme about like profit maximizing. I might have just misunderstood him.
Nothing to do with whether or not we should have socialized healthcare.
So
Because a private company could do the same thing, right?
At the start of COVID, our Canadian government commissioned a study. How much is a human worth?
Okay. All right.
And the number they came back with was about $60,000. That's how much it costs to keep someone alive.
Okay.
So once you start costing...
He's saying that's how much it costs to keep someone alive. I don't know how to interpret that, actually.
more than what you're valued, the government starts pushing people down that road.
So
that's why
I see kind of what you're saying. You're saying if the government analyzes in a socialized system that you're costing the system more than it's worth to keep you alive and a functioning member and a tax-paying member of society, they will start now being incentivized to push you toward killing yourself with healthcare. This is the end product of the more socialized. Okay, if this is the case, why does this, first of all, does not exist in most countries who have had socialized medicine for upwards of centuries? And two, even if it does exist in those countries, what percentage of people are being pushed into this? Is it like dozens of people? Is it more than 1%? Or like I thought MAID was almost exclusively.
I mean, Soy Pill used the word push into it, but MAID does kill a decent amount of people in Canada.
Sure, for people with chronic illnesses who can't.
Which doesn't suggest. I mean, you know, that might be a good thing still, whatever. But like, it is not like it's a non-negligible like percentage of deaths in Canada.
Not maybe it would cost too much to operate on your appendix, so fucking why don't you kill yourself, buddy? You know, like is that really what's happening in Canada? To what degree?
Yeah, so there were a couple of stories that had come out. It was a former Olympian. And she ended up meeting.
This is really cool how Soy Pill asked for like a number, for like a statistic about like, you know, how many people is this happening to? And then he said, well, there's been a couple of stories that came out. That's just really intellectual that we got going on here. Let's go.
A lift chair to go from the
issue we've made is it's a judicial origins. What do you mean by issue? Like I said, JJ Bicola jumps in eventually to talk about that. Obviously, the reason they have MAID is because it was the Supreme Court ruling in Canada or whatever. So it's like, you know, it arises not out of the context that the government needed to save money, but just in the context of like there's some clause in the Canadian Constitution about having like a right to life that they've also interpreted as meaning like a right to control, you know, when you die. And it's hard to put restrictions on it because it's a like legal right you have.
main floor up to the second floor of her house.
I don't think the court ruling is correct and it has bad implications. Okay, sure.
I'd kill myself. No,
yeah, I know, me too.
How much is non-fund shrimp welfare worth? A study by the Mandami Commission in the Islamic Socialist Caliphate in New York City.
I didn't get like this by walking stairs.
Incredible.
But so the government said, no, we're not going to fund your lift or your mobility chair to go upstairs. How about we kill you instead? And there are many stories like that. We've had, you know, Army like veterans that have come back, and it became a big story here that instead of them actually seeking the assistance that they needed, they were just told, well, how about you kill yourself instead?
So, okay, obviously this is bad. The reason I asked at the forefront was I'm not denying the claim that this has happened before, or that there are even maybe dozens of stories. That's why I said dozens. What percentage of people is this happening? Is it becoming more common? Yeah, obviously I think you're going to get more cases of this if MAID exists.
That's not even...
Became a story here that...
He has more to prove there. Even in this example...
instead of
he's kind of framing it in this way, but it kind of isn't. The thing that would matter is if they are offering the MAID as like a substitute for the mobility lift or whatever. It could be the case, it probably is the case, at least some of these examples, that they never offered the mobility lift prior to the MAID stuff. But now that there is MAID, they also mention that MAID is an option for them, right? Like maybe there was another veteran a year earlier before they did MAID that wasn't told to go MAID themselves, but was told we still don't cover your mobility lift. We'd have to prove that they're pressuring in people to MAID themselves instead of care, it being like a substitute. But he kind of framed it in that way. but he didn't make it that explicit.
But then actually speaking,
I'm curious what Jay just says. He basically just says, you know, in the context of MAID coming from like a judicial origin or whatever, you have to understand like it's hard to put restrictions on it, given that it is, you know, because it is like a right that you have, that Canadian government has ruled that you have, and it also exists even in the context of like a private system because it, you know, it is a right, right? It is a legal right that you have.
the assistance that they needed, they were just told, well, how about you kill yourself instead?
So, okay, obviously this is bad. The reason I asked at the forefront was, I'm not denying the claim that this has happened before, or that there are even maybe dozens of stories. That's why I said dozens. What percentage of people is this happening? Is it becoming more common? Yeah, obviously I think you're going to get more cases of this if MAID exists. But like, to what degree is this an actual issue with socialized medicine where they have MAID? And to what degree is it, hey, I'm blowing up every single story, because this is what my opinion on this is. I see every single story about this blown up on my feed and every single social media app because the people who bring it up are like, and this is why we shouldn't have socialized healthcare, because they just want to kill you when you cost too much. And also, just one final point. This is comparing it to America, where we say, oh, you can't afford this, or you cost.
Man, I need your help, no lie.
Well, don't go, you know, well, we won't kill you.
With what?
You're just going to go die. Bye. Right? Like, so they just kind of offset the death part to someone else instead of paying for it, which is more cost effective. I'll admit that if we're not paying for it, but it's not really better.
Right. No, and so in Canada, MAID is I believe the number
Maybe I should ignore the courts.
5 killer in Canada.
The 5th most deaths in Canada is from MAID?
Yeah.
I am so incredulous
And
of this.
so-
Wick, can we fact check? I'm not saying I don't believe like that. Like, I'm sure you've seen this before, but that sounds insane to me. I
I don't know if it's that high. I guess they're gonna fact check, but it is like a non-negligible amount of deaths or whatever. But like, again, the thing that he claimed earlier and the thing that is actually relevant is like whether or not they are pushing people into it as a substitute for care. And he hasn't even in the examples he gave, which are not statistics, they're just like anecdotes, he did not even make that connection explicit. He just said, they said that they weren't going to cover the mobility scooter or mobility lift or whatever. And also, this is an option MAID or whatever. He didn't even make the explicit connection of MAID being the substitute for the mobility scooter. Maybe before they just did not offer anything.
maybe you're right, but holy shit.
So where this gets hidden, so this is all unofficial numbers because they will never.
What's up, Tina? How's it going? It's going good. I'm not I'm not like a math guy, Wampa Stomper. I don't know what you.
I'll explain why.
Okay.
So they don't.
I don't know what you're asking though.
On the death certificate.
Just real quick, according to the Denison Forum, euthanasia is now the 5th leading cause of death in Canada. That is true.
What's the Denison Forum? I'm questioning the source now. I can't believe it.
4.7% to 5.1% of all deaths, with over 15,000 cases recorded, marking a significant rise since its legalization in 2016.
He's forgetting the real killer out there, which is abortion.
Behind major causes like cancer and heart disease. It's not just that site. There's a few others that are saying.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so 5% of all deaths in Canada are euthanasia?
The number 5 killer. What was the?
Not fun. What is the derivative of 3x? Oh fuck, I don't. I've never done the like calculus shit, but I should know it. I knew how to do it at one point. Is it fucking, you put it fucking over 1 and do some shit, bro? Like 1 over x to the negative power or some shit. Close it up. No, it's just 3. What? I'm thinking of something else.
Percentage, Wick? Sorry.
4.7 to 5.1% of all deaths.
And so with that number, so on your death certificate, it won't say, "Oh, doctor shot you up with a needle." They'll give the underlying condition. So one story that had come out was someone had seasonal depression and type 1 diabetes. So what it'll say on his death certificate is that he died from diabetes. It won't say that he died from MAID.
Okay, so wait, okay, go ahead. Well,
$10
okay.
from Doobie. Discord, oh please, oh. And on Discord, he asked me, how much does Tyler think a private insurance company should be forced to spend to keep an 80-year-old alive? Seems like we need to draw the line somewhere. If 60,000 is too low, what's too high?
No, I don't. I don't
No.
think you do. And actually, the fact that person brings that up, that's exactly what happened during COVID, especially in Italy. That's what they did. So when an old person, and I think you guys know, like Italy has a very multi-generational home. Like
again, maybe this guy thinks it. Not if I need to get good at math. I know. I've been there's a little bit of math in the book I'm reading, The Effect. It's mostly not math, but I'm gonna read that and then I'll read my econometrics books. I've read like the first chapter of one of them, but
parents, children, grandchildren all live in one home. So what I can't remember.
Talking about Iran, a little bit, not at this exact moment, but
Cutoff number that they had, but let's just say it's 65 or whatever. Let's say 70. Okay. Basically, they just turned around and said, okay, you know what?
Oh, sorry. But, obviously in any other context, we would not accept this logic of we need to spend unlimited money to save the lives. Again, this is a funny cell just pulled up. Like, you can interpret the statistical value of a human life from what the U.S. government is willing to spend on certain projects that they expect to save lives, right? Like I said, you know, based on fucking ejector seats that save lives, but you know, it costs a lot of money, based on fucking guardrails that we put up for roads. Thought they might not have examples of here exactly how they calculate it.
You're not getting any treatment in the hospital, just go home.
Need to read a Calc 1 textbook. I think I'll take either pre-calc or some other shit as my next math class. So
what number is it? I would say what the person can afford. And I think when you look at
what? Huh?
Getting any treatment in the hospital, just go home. So what number is it? I would say what the person can afford. And I think when you look at, like I said, with regards to what Italy did during COVID, we got to see the utilitarian socialized healthcare in full.
True. We must drag utilitarianism into this. True. Do you know Peter Singer wants to murder everyone? True.
Go home and just die. We're not going to take care of you. We had in Quebec that if someone was unvaccinated, because they had whatever reason they couldn't, the Quebec government wanted to institute a unvaccinated tax. So even though you already pay for a service, they wanted to charge you a tax on top of because you didn't get the jibby jab.
Isn't this something you want? Right? This is a government incentive to make you healthier.
Incentive would be not taxing someone for a service they already paid for.
Oh my! Why? Why does it matter?
That's how paying into a socialized healthcare is that when you need it, you paid into that system.
You were talking about though potentially taxing cigarettes or sugar or something like this. Why is
you triggered me by talking about econometrics for like 10 seconds? I hated during my master. It's valid. Not fun. Would you want to be pre-Z? If so, why? I don't know. What does pre-Z mean? I don't know.
So, or charging people less because they're healthier. And what is the functional difference between saying
I appreciate it, Pringo,
because you're not healthy, or hey, I'm taxing you more because you didn't get something that would have made you healthier? Wouldn't this be kind of what you want?
Well, no, I actually argued against putting sin taxes because it already impacts the people that can't.
That's not the.
Hey, I'm taxing you more because you didn't get something that would have made you healthier. Wouldn't this be kind of what you want?
Well,
he did say wouldn't it be kind of what you want or whatever. But the point of view, there's not like a big fundamental difference there. They have the same effect on the change in after-tax income, and that's what should matter.
Well, I actually argued against putting sin taxes because it already impacts the people that can't afford it already.
That's true.
Who it already disproportionately impacts. So I think to all of a sudden put hey, if you don't, remember like Jimmy Kimmel said, well, you know, if you don't get vaccinated, you go to the back of the line and here you go wheezy and whatever, like you can go stand outside. But if you got the GG jab, right this way, sir. Like that sounds like the most callous and careless thing.
I can't believe Jimmy Kimmel would say that.
Someone that made a decision, especially with regards to, well, we don't have to get into the ideas of COVID, but...
Well, do you not think that there should be disincentives to do things that could endanger public health when you're entering a medical system, at the very least? Say, hey, maybe it can't be so simple as, oh, you didn't get the vaccine, you're at the back of the line for a kidney, but hey, if you didn't get the vaccine, we're going to take extra precautions and do this whole bureaucratic mess so that you don't potentially infect and kill people when you come in here because you're not vaccinated, right?
Well, we've literally had that happen here.
No, I'm asking why it doesn't make sense.
Why it doesn't make sense? I think that if you are paying for a service, you should be rendered that service, not arbitrarily throwing in something just in order for compliance sake. Okay,
so let's say I have this is a silly analogy. Let's say I have a gym membership. And
one intermediate micro and macro require you at least be able to take a partial derivative. Yeah, I know.
Walk into this gym that I pay for. I've got blood on my t-shirt and a knife with blood all over it. And I'm kind of just like vaguely like jabbing around in an area around me. And they're like, hey, we're going to keep an extra eye on you. Yeah, so that you don't fucking stab anyone while you're in there. I'm like, well, I don't want to stab anyone, but you know, it could happen if I get close. Don't you think that maybe just because I pay for it, there's still some now external factors that affect the fact that I could harm other people in the area I'm entering, and I'm not entitled to harm other people?
I think with regards to with COVID, like, I don't know, if we really want to go down this path, we can. But I think when you are now compelling people on an additional, it would be like...
You can ask me questions, I'll stop it.
If you... I don't know, you paid someone to drywall your house or something, and then once they get to the job, it's like, oh, well, if you actually want us to do it, it's giving you another $200, but we're going to keep your deposit and the money and everything else that we took from you. We're just not going to give you that service.
Yeah, but to make it analogous, it's because every time they try to do the drywall, there's like a 30% chance.
Yeah, I was going to say, that would just be, like, that'd be fraud.
They'll just kick over the work they've done so far, and they're like, hey,
it's not really fraud to say, like, to have some government incentive to get vaccinated or some disincentive for not getting vaccinated.
Fuck, you're endangering us in our job, and you're making it harder. We're going to try.
I'm actually not. I don't like for the math I've done. I've been good at it. I don't really mind. I don't find math like that annoying or anything. So it's just math is like more annoying to learn on my own than just more general topics related to economics and stuff.
Charge you a little more if you're going to keep doing this shit, right? Like, it's not just you pay for a service and now we're taxing you more. It's, hey, you have now made a choice that will actively endanger both the medical personnel.
Do you want to murder? It's obvious that Trump wants to murder. Word cell, this is true. This is true. I don't want to murder.
And other people who don't get to decide
NBC with me.
you give them COVID.
I just mean like I mean that would partially solve the problem. But I mean like it's something like I can sit down and read a fucking book about whatever economics topic or even like history stuff or whatever and be interested in it. With like math, it's harder to like find the self motivation to do it. And I have been slowly doing it. Okay, I need to speed up the speed at which I am doing it. But it's harder to like get that inner motivation or whatever than it is for more general stuff.
So we're going to do something about that and say, hey, let's disincentivize this because you could harm other people. And I think that's completely legitimate.
That's legitimate if you already paid for that service.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you would just deny. So then that would actually violate our charter, and I believe that would actually violate your guys' constitution.
Wait.
I don't know if you
how would violate the Constitution.
guys actually have a provision specifically that says about accessing healthcare. Everyone has a right
I didn't
to
say they
access
shouldn't
healthcare.
be able to access the healthcare. I said we should disincentivize it, right? I'm not saying don't treat unvaccinated people. Like if you're unvaccinated, got in a car crash, and you're bleeding to death, and they're like, well, he doesn't.
Hold on. Sorry. When did they move off the drywall example?
For a service, and now we're taxing you more. It's, hey, you have now made a choice that will actively endanger both the medical personnel and other people who don't get to decide legitimate.
So then that would actually violate our charter.
No, I guess they did move off it. Okay.
Everyone has a
I
right
didn't
to
say they
access
shouldn't be
healthcare.
able to access.
I thought I was saying like the drywall fraud example or whatever would violate the Constitution. I don't think that's true.
Said we should disincentivize it, right? I'm not saying don't treat unvaccinated people. Like if you're unvaccinated, got in a car crash, and you're bleeding.
How do you deal on? I got a dip, stay safe, go, and remember land value tax space. I appreciate stuff and buy Rosh. I'll see you whenever I next stream.
Death. They're like, well, he doesn't have his vaccine card, let him bleed out. Yeah, that's insane. But if it's, hey, I want to go to get care at the hospital, and they're like, cool, we're asking that you get vaccinated so you don't spread COVID around to all these patients, and you say no. Or it's like, all right, well, we can't not treat you, but we're going to make sure that you're incentivized not to do what you're doing right now, since we, one, can't force you to get the jab, and two, not give you the care, right?
Right. Well, and I think of maybe my position just with regards to COVID, that actually went a lot deeper than I think just it was healthcare or people were dropping like flies.
And I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted, but maybe you guys covered this question, maybe you didn't. Tyler, to your point about not wanting to treat unvaccinated people differently than you would treat vaccinated people.
Do you all eat in Hawaii?
You made an argument that
Don't know what you mean by that.
who has chosen to be unhealthy differently in your healthcare system than someone who was healthy. You would charge them a different rate. How is this different?
I think once your terms and conditions of your contract, I think if you sign that contract saying, okay, I will pay this for this, and that's kind of the end of it, fine. But if I retroactively decide, or just in this moment, I decide, well, you know what, because I want you to comply, I'm going to arbitrarily add this additional thing.
Well, it's not arbitrary. It was a national emergency. And
I was gonna say, why are we like reading in the arbitrary thing there?
A one-to-one analogy, right? Like, do you think that if you go to get treated and you're stabbing people in the hospital or you're threatening to and you're not like 100% likely to, that they should be like, well, I know you already paid for this, but you in some ways by causing damage to other people are breaking the contract. So we're now adding a stipulation that says if you're going to break this contract in such a way that might hurt other people that you kind of, implicitly by the societal rule said you weren't going to do, then we're going to make sure we can do everything in our power to stop you without not giving you the healthcare. And also, just to be clear, this does.
Nothing. I don't think you will like intermediate micro. I mean, I've heard bad things.
Disproportionately affect the poor people, just like your anti-syntax thing, where like, hey, let's incentivize people to be healthier. It's going to be like, hey, well, who's more likely to be less healthy and obese? It's people who are poor, who are uneducated about diet, who don't have access to gyms, who don't have time to work out, who don't have time to cook better food. Like all of these things are going to have the same arguments that you gave against them if we're trying to incentivize their healthy behavior. But that's two separate things. So sorry for good scalping.
Yeah, no, and I like I said, I think my own kind of, maybe not my personal gripe with the response to COVID, maybe that puts me in a certain level of bias. But I'm more in kind of general speak.
Oh shit! Wait, I just totally fucked up the white balance when I was messing. Oh shit! Oh no! I'm blue. I was just trying to change the color of the background light. Oh no! Oh, okay, that looks normal. Okay. Jesus.
I think that even in still.
Font is a base in macro chat. I don't know if I would say I like micro or macro better. But
looking at how social.
How do you do either without calc? It's beyond me. I mean, you don't need calc to like. It just depends what aspects of it you're talking about to actually like properly model stuff on your own or to like properly fully understand models. You need to know some stuff, but I think you do. I don't think you can do calc-free intermediate micro or macro. Yeah, I don't think you can. I mean, obviously the macro models can be a little more complicated than some of the micro ones even, but
socialized healthcare decided that if you don't, then we're just not going to take care of you. I think that that's like a fundamental problem. Like, what if the person just say, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere where they actually take care of me, and you know, I'm not forced into a system that that would do this type of thing. Like I said, maybe it's just my COVID bias in that particular topic, but I don't know. Maybe I'm logically inconsistent on this, which I'm totally fine with.
Okay, incredible. Let's go.
In that case, I do really.
I could be logically inconsistent, but I'm totally fine with that.
Just one other point we passed, which is the MAID thing. Now, I haven't had a lot of time to look into this, but is the reason, because I could not believe it. Let's assume this is true. 5% of people are dying from MAID. So there were kind of two things here. One, you said, well, look at this statistic. It's hugely inflated. 5% of people are dying, but also they're not putting it as the cause of death. So is the implication between that first point that even more people than the 5% are dying and they're just not reporting it? Okay, cool. So let's assume this is true. I looked into it. Sure. So if this is true, I'd want to see to what degree, because we have these stories of people who are like, oh, you've got chronic diabetes and depression, kill yourself. Yeah, that's awful. But how many of these people are people that would have died within the next few months because of a terminal illness? That, like, you know, oh, the MAID is going way up because all these people who have stage 4 cancer are saying, I want to die with dignity. Give me the, you know, like oxygen deprivation chamber so that I don't fucking have all my hair fall out and die a painful, horrible death on my deathbed. And how many of them are, hey, you might die from this. We're not really sure. We'll just kill you. I think the best possible argument against this for me is, all right, MAID shouldn't be an option because the shortfalls and the mistakes are going to kill an unnecessary amount of people in the same way I might be against the death penalty. But I'm not quite sure that just because they have socialized healthcare and they've introduced MAID, that this is now causing like a bunch of people who otherwise would not have died to die because they're doing MAID. Do you have like a breakdown of that number?
I don't, and that's where reporting on this. So the Canadian government, I think our numbers are normally about 3 years behind in.
I wonder. I hope Southern Hill pushes them on this. I bet this guy's just opposed to any euthanasia.
With a lot of statistics, and a lot of their statistics, they're not very good. They're not very good of actually breaking down those numbers.
So again, this is good faith. Why do you believe it's?
What's up, Mossy Adventures?
Because
just to be clear, let me clarify my question. The reason I don't is
they sound like cartoons. I might see my brain just it operates 20 levels ahead of you.
Because
I need the fast sped up video to
believe that the government is just arbitrarily
keep me occupied.
I do believe that most people wouldn't choose to do this. Well, hold on, let me finish, because I understand your argument of like how much they cost, right? I understand the idea that there is some degree or incentive of people kind of pushing towards this because like I don't want to pay for their healthcare anymore and it's socialized, but I don't have reason to believe that this is the majority of the case. It's a hey, this might happen sometimes and that's bad, but that's not what's the overall outcome of MAID is or socialized medicine. So why do you believe not that? If these numbers can't be broken down because of bad reporting.
Right, and only thing that I could really answer is I don't know.
Let's go, incredible!
We really know those numbers because they are obfuscated.
This guy doesn't have any data for his shit. Soyfield should be way meaner with that. And now maybe Soyfield's being meaner because Soyfield himself does not, like, he didn't prepare any data for this either. But, like, this guy is just being retarded.
It's just that number 5, maybe it is. And I agree that
even with points that I don't totally disagree with him on, he just does a horrible job of defending them because he just doesn't have any like data to back any of it up.
You know, I think
I don't look at the stats, therefore the stats are bad. This is true.
We agree on the, you know, if someone, they know that they're not, like, their ticket's punched, they're just waiting for the train to get here.
Yeah.
Like they're not making it out of it. And yeah, as someone that watched like my mother die from Lou Gehrig's disease, or my grandmother died from Lou Gehrig's disease, I wish she had that option rather than pumping her full of morphine and shutting the machines off and watching her choke to death. I would much rather that she was able to die at least with her faculties. Well, that's the thing actually with Lou Gehrig's. Your brain still works, but your body shuts down.
He's not totally anti-euthanasia. Does that? I'm actually surprised by that.
Because I'm really sorry this happened to you, but what you described, isn't that better? Like, I thought getting hopped up on morphine is good. If I'm not, like, am I crazy? I'm totally uninformed about this. I would assume a slow, like, CO2 pumped into a thing, so you just kind of like slowly like go to sleep, wouldn't be as good as being pumped full of like the drug that people steal to get high, right? Am I crazy, or like am I just completely uninformed about this?
I've never.
Probably
had that
you,
happen,
Lou
so
Gehrig.
I do have a question for you, Soyfield. On the
Okay, moving on. All right.
Right. Well, I just
I'm sorry.
how you want to answer. Like, I don't
well,
know.
I was asking because he said like that was horrible. Don't get me wrong, like losing a loved one like that is horrible, and I'm trying not to be insensitive about this, but like getting pumped full of morphine and then turning the machine off, is that not like it's supposed to be like we've given you kind of like a like, you know, a big.
Did he admit? Did I misunderstand him when it took him? I thought he said that he wished his mother had the option of MAID or whatever rather than dying slowly, and morphine was just used as like a painkiller. Enough morphine will kill you, but like morphine is just used as like a painkiller, right? And they make sure you can't get too much, but while you're in hospice care, because that will kill you.
Highs, you go to sleep in like the drug OD kind of thing, or am I crazy?
In fact, I don't know what they use for MAID, but like. My understanding, my immense medical knowledge from, in a party drug, exactly. My immense medical understanding from watching the show House MD, I thought morphine was literally used in some euthanasias, but we're.
Right, no, and I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not looking at it as insensitive, or as being insensitive, because it was finally after she, you know, her body just stopped working, her muscles were at atrophy to the point that it just didn't work. Then, after finally, like I believe it was actually like my dad or my aunt had to beg the nurses, what can we do to stop her suffering?
It can, not advised? Okay. The euthanasia hate morphine. I think it looks like it probably differs by person. Midazolam, is that how you pronounce it? Propofol, and Roconium. So not morphine.
Suffering because this is terrible to see.
Understood. Right.
What the fuck? I think it differs. I think it seems like it differs by person. They use Valium. That's fucked. I think I don't know what I didn't read them using Valium. That site didn't say they did. But it's the same thing with like lethal injections, right? They like use a drug to like just like put you to sleep, and then they use another drug to like paralyze you that like stops your heart and breathing and shit.
Right. So, she was in a lot of pain at the end, and this was like the kind of the Hail Mary kind of. I understand now. Sorry, and I wasn't smiling at your story again. So now people are posting Chinese and JJ McCullough, who famous Canadian YouTuber, is now throwing some weird crap in there. It's really distracting and totally whiplashing me from the sorrow of your story. I apologize for that. But
it's just amazing how bad YouTube is right now. I don't know why, but it's back or something. Like this Entes de obtener más continuidad.
This one, more money,
assistance in death.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there are reports of people who have been offered maids or given maids that for like having seasonal depression, diabetes, and you say that these are one-offs, these are outliers, these are not a reason to.
I'm not. Well, let me be clear.
Itself.
I'm not saying these are one-offs. I'm saying it seems to be they're one-offs, and that's why I asked if you could show me that this was like a good chunk of the cases. That would be an argument against MAID, because just this existing is going to cause enough, unnecessary death that I would not support it. In the same way, the amount of unnecessary death and unjust death from the death penalty causes me to not support it, even though in principle I support the cause of some people just deserve to die, I think, in certain cases. However, it does not seem to be the case that we can legislate this in such a way that does not cause innocent people to die in a way that I'm okay with. I would not be okay with MAID existing, even though, like Tyler said, he might have wanted MAID for his grandmother, but this is not something he sees as a good incentive. And if you could show me that a good chunk of these people should not be getting MAID, then I'd say, maybe I don't support MAID. But that's not a socialized healthcare thing. The only way it ties back to socialized healthcare is if what Tyler said is the reason they're doing it is because we have socialized healthcare, and the healthcare is like a costly thing and it's zero sum, and so they're pushing more people to save money, right? And so I would have to see an extensive study of all of these numbers, and it's like, yep, turns out people are just like pushing people into suicide because they don't want to pay for them. And even then, even if that was true, it would still have to be worse than just people not getting healthcare because it's too expensive in America, right? So like, as bad as that would be, it might even be better than what we have. So yeah, all that.
How many would you allow, out of curiosity, right? If it was only 5% of the people who got MAID, so 5% of the 5%, that they didn't actually need MAIDs, but because of financial incentives, the doctors offered it to them and kind of led them down that primrose path.
I'd say that'd be too many. 5% is probably too many. For MAID, I would say it would have to be like, I don't remember what the death penalty numbers are. It's been a while since I did the research. But the death penalty was like a really good chunk. Maybe it was like 1/8 or something, where like proven innocent afterwards, or while they're on death row. I'd have to go look it up. But if we're getting like a couple edge cases here and there, where it's like a few dozen of the like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, like far less than 1% are accidentally pushed into this, I'd be like, yeah, this isn't good. One death is too many, but ultimately this helps so many people from suffering that I think we should work out the kinks and have a better system and fix it rather than get rid of it altogether. But if it was a good chunk, if it was like more than 1-2%, it's like, hey, we're just like telling people who are sad to kill themselves, which is like.
Are they ever going to discuss? Soy Pill touching this a few times, but they didn't go to even know how much. Either A, how many people are actually going to be like saved by universal healthcare or whatever. Not that I don't think this guy will have the knowledge on that issue. Didn't Soy Pill say a number that was quite? He said like 200,000 or something, right? Oh no, that was the number they cited for the people waiting. That Wick cited for the people like who die waiting the ER or whatever. It's not really what we're talking about here. But either A, talk about like how many people would actually be saved by universal healthcare, or B, talk about any of the potential trade-offs other than fucking MAID when it comes to universal healthcare. Like, why are we doing the dumbest? Well, I know why we're doing the dumbest shit, because this guy's dumb. But why are we doing the dumbest shit right now, bro?
It's against POS for a reason, because a lot of them do. I would say we probably shouldn't have it existing as a method or an option, which sucks for some people, but it clearly has too many unintended consequences. In the same way, like, yeah, if it wasn't working welfare has probably a much higher failure rate for people that shouldn't be getting welfare and are getting welfare, right? But people getting welfare isn't killing people, so it's a different litmus test. When it's death, there should be a much stricter regimen.
Yeah, and that was actually a big concern. Oh, was it out of Switzerland, I think, which they've had a version of MAID. I can't remember which year, but it's been around significantly longer than we've had in Canada. And I think their number is about 1% of deaths come from their MAID program.
But 1% of deaths, not 1% of people that don't have fatal diseases deaths, right? If 1%, or if what was it? In Canada, it's the fifth highest, 5%. If almost all of these, I think someone posted this in chat, I don't know if it's true. It's 96% of these people are people that reasonably were about to die. This is better. It's still 4% of people who aren't reasonably about to die, which is like, all right, I still think that's too high. But that's different from 1% of people are dying from this. It's how many of these people are taking this as a good option, alternative to dying a undignified, painful, slow, my body deteriorates death. That's what I'd be worried about.
Right, and I
now we're Jar Jar Binksing in chat.
I don't have data on that.
Serious topic about that. Never
Say it.
We said
Say
we're
it.
gonna die soon.
Yeah, if you type oh, it's
Yo, shit, thanks for the sub.
Non from
appreciate it,
can you
Company K.
explain bug maxing?
I have no fucking clue what bug maxing is. It's I'm anti-bug maxing. I want to kill all the insects, don't you know? I don't know, I made it up based. I'm insect genocide maxing. Okay. I want to reduce the wild insect population.
so my chat looks
Explain shrimp maxing. Are you a pro-Iran liberal? I would not say so, but okay. Shrimp maxing is just maximizing the number of shrimp that are killed painlessly, as opposed to suffering a painful death.
names work too, like Lincoln Riley. You can say that. I don't know what that's in reference to, but someone's put it in the chat. So
Riley's the woman who was killed by an illegal
I
immigrant.
know who she is, but I don't know how does this apply?
I would guess I do die, and the answer is, well, percent of Americans are being killed because of illegal immigration. I'd say, wow, we really...
the right. But they actually get it right 100% of the time, and because of that, and it's...
How long did they keep talking about this one fucking
when they should,
issue of made?
A huge chunk of them. And if you could prove that it's like a significant chunk, and like I said, I'm talking about, oh shit, that's horrible. But right, exactly. And that's kind of, it's a threshold argument, but yeah, it's a bad threshold versus a worse threshold, and I'm going to pick the less bad one. It seems to me that socialized healthcare is less bad.
Yeah, well, and that's why I mean the association of it's basically like the death hospitals and Mother Teresa. It's I can give my own anecdotes. I've talked about people. I think people's satisfaction. I think that's a big indicator of where people actually, if they actually find their healthcare good. Like I said, it was like 67% of Canadians find their healthcare unsatisfactory, while Americans, I believe, 80 and 90.
I, as much as I don't like dismissing this sort of like data, but my problem with that is who's being asked. This isn't the case necessarily, but if more people were dying here, a lot fewer of them are going to say I'm satisfied because they're dead. If Canada has a higher standard, right? Like if the standard.
Okay, there's no way that many, but like, you would imagine the people who are dying, there's obviously you can only die once, okay? So like presumably if this X many people are dying because of lack of healthcare every year, like each set of people who would die in the next year or would die later this year would be counted in this survey. It's not like there's one set of people who are like, who just died and now they're gone forever. And, well, obviously, like I said, you can only die once, obviously, but I'm saying there are people who die from this every year. So that set of people will presumably, hopefully be surveyed every year.
Standards of what I expect from the government are higher, then it doesn't really matter if they're only 67% satisfied.
Which of the panelists do you think needs the most healthcare? Probably this dude.
If they're not satisfied because, yeah, we're all living longer and it's better. And
he said his doctor offered him a pill to stop being fat instead of recommending exercise and dieting. And he was upset about that.
It's costing less, but I want my doctor to be nicer. I want the wait time to be shorter, right? Like it depends on why they're answering these things. And so just asking you if you're satisfied or not isn't enough because I don't know what they're comparing it to. I don't know if the conditions are the same. And I don't know what the metric for like satisfactory is. It's a quality that's not really quantifiable. I have a request. I don't know. I mentioned I invoked JJ before. He has a question for you, especially in considering to this MAID thing, where it's like, oh, they're trying to save money, so they're having people get killed more. He says, if you think the Canadian government is actually concerned with saving money, considering they haven't had a balanced budget in ages, what is your evidence for this fiscal responsibility incentive on part of the liberal?
He's not going to have any, bro. He's going to say the fucking anecdotes again or whatever.
Why? Like,
say, no, I don't have data on it though.
Hey, if they wanted to save money, they might drive more people to this MAID thing. Is there any evidence to this, or is it just it makes sense that this could happen? Because if there's not really evidence beyond that, it just seems like it's a conspiracy that could be true but has nothing to back it up.
Well, I know is it actually like JJ?
It's JJ McCullough. No, JJ is texting me. Me and him are friends.
An imposter. Okay.
He was in my chat too, speaking like Russian or something.
Yeah. So I would look at how the Liberal government has, especially under Mark Carney, has actually taken a real hard line stance in trying to reduce costs, like government costs and overall kind of budget costs, even though we run another $86 billion deficit. I know that's like fucking piss in the ocean for you guys, but when our GDP is 3.2, I think it's 3.2 trillion. No, 2.4. I think it's 2.4 trillion. Compared to your 38 trillion. Yeah, $86 billion.
Hold on, this is from Paul Krugman's post that I read a while ago at KFF. Most insured adults give their health insurance an overall positive rating. This is, did he say 90%? This is not 90%. Oh, he might be including is he including the fare? He includes the fare. It's roughly his number.
After JJ's question, I think because the government has been taking...
Are you in favor of the Iran strikes? I think they are in expectation of slight net benefit. I could see it going poorly. I wish Trump had authorization from Congress to do it. but an expectation I would still say they're probably a slight net benefit. It's hard to see how things could get like significantly worse for Iran, and it probably has, if things go well, or even if things just go decent, probably has a decently sized good payoff. So
that hardline stance, and I think because of the ballooning costs that we have been seeing with healthcare, I think it's like 24% of collected taxes goes into healthcare, and I have a couple speculations as to why they might.
That's not even like that far from what the U.S. is, right? I think we're like, I want to say like 13 or something % of our budget is like Medicare and Medicaid.
Might want to kind of cut that number down. We are importing significantly more people, so that could be a concern that people are.
Wait, hold on. Wait, sorry. Wait, yeah. Health insurance, 24%. Are you sure he's not setting the U.S.? Literally, we do the same thing. 24% health insurance. And I don't even know if that's including, so the benefits for for veterans and federal retirees, I don't know for sure if that's including the VA or not. Because the VA is, we have like a single payer system for fucking veterans. About 9/10 of the benefits available to all veterans are either disability payments or medical care, which is often specialized. So it's not even, we spend more than 24% because some of this 8% is medical care for veterans. But what if a radical fundamentalist Islamic leader comes to power who wants to nuke and fund terrorist proxy groups? That would be a bad outcome. And there's a possibility of that happening. I think it's probably a relatively low possibility. And I think to the extent that we see, if there are warning signs of that, the U.S. can probably take steps to prevent that. I don't know how. It might be, depending on the context of it, it might be hard. Like with the I'm going to forget the order the acronym is. IRGC, right? Like if the fundamentalists in the IRGC like fucking coup the entire government, it might be hard to prevent that from having bad effects. But like if it was a more isolated thing, we could probably fucking bomb most of them and not have to worry about it that much.
Would need to access these types of things. I don't know necessarily the exact reason as to why that was coming out. Maybe it was an austerity thing because with regards to COVID.
Well, then I'll cut off and say, well, no, yeah. So it seems we have an answer, and this is not. I'm not trying to disparage you too much, but right now it is just a theory that is plausible because it does make sense. This would save on costs, but is not backed up by some sort of higher level analysis. So if this came out in a big report in 5 years, you would be 100%.
This guy needs to be meaner. Soyfield needs to be meaner.
Be a way that they were trying to save money, possibly. But I wouldn't say that this is an argument against socialized healthcare. Only that one, if it's happening, that made is a bad incentive, and two, if it's not happening or we don't know, we should look into it more to make sure people aren't being, subconsciously or manufactured consent pushing people into doing it. But it reminds me of people saying, don't sign up to be an organ donor because then they won't save you on the operating table because they want your organs. Like maybe this could happen, but I've yet to see a bunch of organ donors being harvested and like killing them on purpose. Like some big whistleblower comes out and nurses and surgeons are like, yeah, well they told me not to finish him off, not to do the surgery on him because I can just take his organ. Like it's not happening en masse.
Well, and this is, I know you're kind of joking about it, but Canada has become one of the leading organ selling markets or suppliers in the world. Actually, I believe we're now surpassing China.
Okay.
So,
but that statistic alone doesn't tell.
Is that good evidence of what Soyfield's talking about happening? I would imagine. My understanding is that usually the way in which you die will affect whether or not your organs can be used, and made, it probably gives you a decent chance of your organs being able to be used because you die in a healthier state, essentially. Right? You don't die naturally. You died in a controlled state, and all your organs were still relatively functional enough to keep you alive immediately prior to your death. That's why like I know like stroke, so like usually we get organs from people who like have a stroke or like are like brain dead, right? Because the organs have to be healthy and they have to die in a manner that doesn't like entirely destroy their organs.
Tell me they're trying to let people die to get their organs. It just means, wait, was it?
Hold on,
First
no,
of all,
no,
is it?
He's saying that they're importing people, elderly people, so that they can give them maids, harvest their organs, and sell them on the black market. It makes
Oh, wait, are you actually saying that?
Yeah,
that's why they have open borders. That's why they have
No,
open
no,
borders.
that's not what I'm saying.
Absolutely true.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, that's a nationalistic argument, Wick. I'd be like, all right, as long as you're not taking our American organs, yeah, take those immigrant organs.
True base.
Oh, real quick, JJ is using me as a proxy. To be clear, he has said, well, the current government is bragging about increasing funding to healthcare. So they're talking about like as a public policy good, they are increasing healthcare spending. So how would you square that circle with? And actually, they're doing this to save money.
Well, and as I said, I don't know if with that study being commissioned, if it was like an austerity thing during COVID.
Oh my God.
That they kind of maybe put a hard line, the $60,000 hard line stance.
Well,
I know
the
government is
study,
looking at
was the study,
importing more doctors.
did the study have anything to do with MAID, or was just, hey, let's analyze how much per person we're spending, which is a good metric to have?
I don't believe the study was related to me, but it was with regards to healthcare costs. I'm misremembering, but I don't think it was directly tied to MAID.
My guess would be, and I don't know where you.
$60,000.
Yeah, like if they were killing people with MAID because they wanted to save on healthcare.
I don't even know what the fuck to like look up to fact check. Like if I just look up MAID, $60,000. Okay, it's all MAID. MAID Canada. Oops. I have no clue what the fuck to talk about.
Sense that you would want to make sure you know what the threshold is to kill those people, and in terms of how much it's costing you. But these are not, conclusive at all. It's just, hey, the government wants to know how much they're spending per person. Maybe they're looking at ways to improve this. And also MAID is a thing at the same time. We would have to connect a lot of things, and it seems that at the same time they're bragging about increasing the funding. So this would be very spurious to me unless we did some top level analysis and said, well, hold on. Turns out a bunch of people who are coming out and saying, yeah, I'm making certain decisions to save on cost, or I promote MAID when I think this person has a less than X amount of dollars chance of living. Like that, if you could show that, but it seems like right now it's just a theory. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you'd have to really show a lot for this to be like definitely, and this is why we need to oppose not just MAID but also socialized medicine, and especially the two in tandem.
Right. Well, and I don't know how conspiratorial do you want to get.
I mean, for fun, we can go as much as you want. As long as we're acknowledging it's a very conspiracy-brained argument against something in the same way, like, oh, I won't get the jab because it's got a microchip, and it's like, hey, maybe, but I'm not gonna, what percentage true do I think this is possible?
No, just real quick. If you're in my chat, because some of you can type English now, but some of you can't. I'm wondering if you reload, can you type English? Someone try it. Anyway,
I don't think
I'm not seeing
there were microchips and all.
Anything about this. I have no clue if maybe I'd have to Google something more specific or whatever, but the only thing I'm finding is like someone raised enough money to be able to afford MAID, and it was like $60,000 or something, and this is like 6,000 Canadians died through MAID between 2016 and 2023. I have no clue what the fuck this guy is citing.
Like crazy stuff. In fact, I think the attack that there's no evidence.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not any evidence that they're using this to save money, but in the same way you could describe a plausible incentive for them to kill people on MAID to save money. I'm not saying it's happening, but it's plausible. You can say, yeah, it's plausible that there's an incentive for them to put microchips in us to, release certain chemicals or to have us do something. So like, why is the lack of evidence in the microchip example make it so much more crazy than the, hey, they're killing people with MAID to save money?
Maybe it's just a general distrust of government and
that's not a general oh my god, bro, that's not a general distrust of government. It's not you like being skeptical of the government. That's you like I mean, it's you being insanely conspiratorial about the government.
I'm being candid. That's kind of where I would lean.
That's like you. There's got to be a better word, but like you're just not matching your level of credence with your level of knowledge. It's not enough for you to say like, I don't really have evidence for this happening, but like I just like have general skepticism of the government, right?
Seems really, really suspicious at that time that we would implement or that we would commission a study. It just seems unusual. I guess that would be kind of the way that I would look at it. It's unusual.
No, I get it, but
now that
hey,
see these instances.
Did you know there was a CIA paper, we just had this declassified recently, that explored the idea of population control through vaccines, maybe by hormone or certain chemical imbalances or changes in the endocrine system. And isn't it unusual that we had a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic at about the time where the World Economic Forum is talking about like overpopulation and how like things are getting out of control and chaotic, and we need to find better ways to like help society. And this paper comes out and they're saying, and now it's mandatory or heavily incentivized to get everyone to get this vaccine. Like, I could draw the same conclusion that maybe it's a microchip or maybe this is a mass control program that you seem to do, and also use your priors, which is because I just trust the government and these things happen at the same time. But you believe one and not the other because you've seen it more. Like,
I trust the government. I think I think I have seen it a lot more, and I know America just looks at like Canada's the top hat of America. Whatever happens there, I don't know. They eat maple syrup and live in igloos or some shit. I don't know what you guys think, and poutine or something.
I've been there. It's all igloos.
You're not wrong. That are think that they guys you it's
okay, don't care.
It's not okay.
How long are they going to keep?
What's going to happen? You're never like the insurance. We cannot have a system that incentivizes the government to kill people to save money. This is just not okay. Obviously, rationing care is always going to happen. You're never like the insurance. People like to shit on insurance companies, and I think a lot of it's deserved. But if you look, there's a very specific example in Michael Moore's Sicko, which everyone points to as look how evil the healthcare industry is. And there was a guy.
Right, this is about when I started watching. I remember him talking about this.
They didn't, and he died, and his wife gives his testimony. And you look at the case, and it's like, hey, the thing they were requesting was a multi-million-dollar experimental surgery or treatment that didn't even have like more than a 50% chance of working, and you can't give that to everyone. It's literally impossible. We do not have the money. We do not have the resources. So it's understandable that some degree of this is going to happen. But if you're incentivizing the government to say, well, it's not going to happen, so we're going to go down this crazy utilitarian pipeline where we just start killing even the most inconvenient people in the slightest way just to make sure that
have to bring in the utilitarianism, bro. Have to slander it.
Marginal healthcare. Yeah.
I think I literally say in the chat the utilitarianism slander.
Even there yet. You need to investigate it first. You need to see if it's even close to that.
Just to be clear, W. Charsky, Drew.
And
I have no clue. Where did Charsky say something?
I
Or?
kind of base it off of, well, I don't have any evidence, but I distrust the government, and we're kind of like, it makes sense that it could happen, right? Like, I think you're
Let's be clear. I don't think utilitarianism entails that we should be doing MAID to save money. I think everyone would recognize it. Well, almost everyone to recognize that like there is a point at which like a sufficiently large amount of money would have to be used to save someone that it would not be worth it to save them, right? Because the money could just do more good elsewhere. And again, implicitly, the U.S. government more broadly already has stuff like this. Any government has stuff like this when they debate, when they make rules for, what level of regulation can we have that plausibly might save them lives, but are going to cost, X much, right? That happens already, but no particular reason, just W. Charsky. Okay, valid. Charsky is goated. I like Charsky.
your descriptions are a little 3 steps ahead.
Well, and I would push back that with so the instances that I talked about, like the Olympic skier who are the.
Oh my God! How many times are we going to bring up this one anecdote, bro?
And they said no, we're not going to do it, which I think is a minor inconvenience.
That's not what you need to prove. Were other people rejected a lift chair before? Because the claim you're making is people are pushed into MAID to save money. That's not incompatible. Or sorry, like the again, you can imagine people being like that just being an added option, and prior to MAID existing, people were not recommended MAID because it didn't exist, but still weren't able to get the lift chair because it just like wasn't covered for whatever reason. He's admitted to not having evidence about it.
You are paying into, and when the government just says no, there were many articles. I know they're all anecdotes. I don't know the percentages, but when you start seeing more and more of these stories coming out, a guy had, like I said, had seasonal depression and type 1 diabetes, or when we have people from the military that are coming back and the government says, hey, you know what, don't worry about it, we're going to take care of you, but also we're going to sue the shit out of you because of your medical expenses. And I think that this starts kind of creating a mosaic or a bit of a picture.
Did he say we're going to sue the shit out of you?
When you start seeing more and more of these stories coming out, a guy had, like I said, had seasonal depression and type 1 diabetes, or when we have people from the military that are coming back and the government says, hey, you know what, don't worry about it, we're going to take care of you, but also we're going to sue the shit out of you because of your medical expenses.
I have no clue what the fuck he's talking about there. JD needs to own this guy. He comes in relatively soon.
Kind of creating a mosaic or a bit of a picture of what are they arguing? Why would they be so inclined to fight against this stuff? There was one of a chick.
Before we move on to the story, can I bring up because I just brought up the Paralympic thing? Can I read you a quote about this that I think is a reasonable response to if they did offer him a suicide kit? Trudeau said, "We're following up with investigations. We're changing protocols to ensure what should seem obvious to all of us. That is not the place of Veteran Affairs Canada, who are supposed to be there to support these people who stepped up to serve the country, to offer them medical assistance in dying." So it seems to be the case that if this was something that was happening more and more because they're incentivizing it, you wouldn't come out and say, "Hey, we're going to investigate this. We're going to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen, and we're going to try to write protocols to."
No, but I understand he's just generally skeptical to government.
Have some sort of set of instructions of like what needs to be happening.
Healthcare is part of an economic ideology at the free market. The rational of a full public system is not a rational funding issue. Okay.
Before you're even allowed to suggest this, like,
welcome
hey,
in.
They need to be terminal, or it needs to be like less than 5% chance to live.
Spooky hole.
Why would they then
Spooky hole.
introduce these protections if they did want to kill more people and then get away with it?
Right. Well, I assume that you can say one thing and do another. So I think I'd have to look at some of my stats, but with regards to MAID, I think out of BC, I think 14 people died under MAID that should not have qualified. There's a doctor that I lovingly call Dr. Mangla out of BC who authorized the killing of 500 people that otherwise should not have.
Okay.
So, I think when you start seeing
wait, hold on.
The MAID, I think out of BC, I think 14. So I think I'd have to look at some of my stats, but with regards to MAID, I think out of BC, I think 14 people died under MAID that.
Out of what did he say? Out of BC? Huh?
I'd have to look at some of my stats.
Oh, BC, British Columbia. Okay.
I think out of BC, I think 14 people died under MAID that should not have qualified. There's a doctor that I lovingly call Dr. Mangla out of BC who authorized the killing of 500.
Okay, this guy's also out of BC.
Should not have.
And I don't know, did he authorize 500 people and then not everyone authorized gets made? I guess. Because it's weird to say there were 500 people authorized to get made or whatever that should not have gotten it, but also only 14 people died because of it. That suggests that there are other checks in place, unless he's talking about different time periods, that there are other checks in place to make sure doctors can't just fucking kill people.
Okay.
So, You know, I think when you start seeing these kind of trends, you know,
is it a trend though, or is it
one
one
is
guy
making
did it 5
national
times?
stories.
But that's the thing. The reason this stuff makes
Well,
national stories in the same way when that person brought up Laken Riley is because it's insane, right? We both agree. Whoa, this guy's telling people to kill themselves that shouldn't. That's really bad. And so if you get an illegal immigrant stabbing an innocent little beautiful running white girl to death, that's fucking insane. It's going to blow up. And yet, is this a thing? Is this a trend? Is this happening in mass? Is this like, are mistakes happening left and right? That's not yet to be established. And so you can't look at the fact that there are a bunch of national news stories as an indication of a trend. What that indicates is that people are always going to sensationalize the worst possible cases. And now you need to step back and say, all right, let's look at all the data. Is this happening? And it doesn't yet seem to be the case.
Right, and yeah, and I think that the more and more of these stories that are coming out, then we start to kind of more, okay, we're noticing a trend.
Oh my God, how many fucking times we're going to loop on the same point?
Where we see what the media does is it will kind of put out a story, and we almost kind of like gauge reaction. And it almost seems like that's kind of where the national conversation, or at least the government, where they're looking at moving. So during COVID, the media had floated out, I don't have the article in front of me, but they had floated out that if you have vaccine hesitancy and if you get anxiety, you might qualify for MAID. That was articles that were being published. And
again,
so
I'm skeptical, but you proved me wrong the other time, so maybe these are real and as big, but Jesus Christ, just kill the unvaccinated is essentially the conclusion of that. So, English is back, by the way, guys. English has never been more back.
We you know what?
Did you kill this man join already? I'm going to skip a little bit more of this because
English speakers.
Take that L, or as the Spanish say, L.
Fucking stupid.
Take that L-O. Okay. Consider pouring in.
Well, hold on, he was finishing.
$5 for my listening library.
Wait. He was saying something about the articles real quick.
Now there's already a discussion that's happening now. Should we expand MAID to babies?
Oh yeah, I saw this part.
Chronically in pain. Should we take that compassionate line? And now,
should we
are you starting to understand where we're going? Hey, this is pretty fucking. This is Dr. Mangala stuff.
Wait.
Because you might feel bad.
If a baby is fatally ill, and it's
this is like you can tell how big a deal this is based on the fact that like when you Google it, not much comes up, and like the first thing comes up, the Catholic Register, right? Like. And this is December 12th, 2025. It's like 2024. There's a Al Jazeera article about it. OMG, we should do it. Peter Singer, the disabled infant argument. Exactly. Like I said, I called in and I talked to him about this because Hope Hill was initially gone when I called in. Again, I don't actually know how common this is in Canada, but in the US, I know, and I do agree with Peter Singer for the most part. And for, to my understanding, most other countries, we already allow parents to withdraw life support from infants who have like debilitating conditions or whatever, even if they might otherwise survive with life support. If they need life support, right now, and their sort of expected lives just kind of look pretty shitty. We allow parents to withdraw life support from them. And, the Peter Singer euthanasia stuff, or like the MAID, I think Peter Singer goes a little bit further, and like the MAID stuff, to my understanding, would be essentially just instead of withdrawing life support, now, there are some children who you can, or, infants who you can like actively kill them or whatever. It's just a difference between actively killing as opposed to like withdrawing life support, which I don't think there's like I don't think there's a huge difference there. In one sentence towards the end of her 11,000-word essay, Plot Calabro acutely pointed out that the Quebec College of Physicians has raised the idea of extending current MAID practices to cover infants under 1 year old in cases of severe deformities. Like, this is what we're this is what we're talking about here. One college has raised the idea of extending current MAID practices to cover infants under 1 year old in cases of severe deformities. Legalizing euthanasia for babies, she further noted, would put Canada in the same category as Nazi Germany. True! Which did so in 1939. At which point everyone lost their minds, and with good reason. By like 2022, Canada had over 6 years' experience with MAID for patients whose death was reasonably foreseeable, as well as 18 months of newly approved Track 2 cases, which do not require apprehension of imminent death. This is the big evil Hitler thing we're talking about here.
In pain every day, should we not?
What about cases with very small benefits? Your kid has moderate autism that will make him do worse academically and socially, but certainly it's debilitating. I would lean against it. I think there might be cases in like a sort of hypothetical maybe I don't think this would ever work as a societal rule, but like, you know, I could imagine cases, just because I also care about future sentience, where like even if someone has like a relatively mild disability or whatever, it could technically, at least in a hypothetical, be utility maximizing to just allow the parent to have another child instead. But I lean against it in those cases, especially like I said, as a sort of societal rule.
I really struggle with once you start targeting
So
babies.
just real quick, for maids in Canada, they passed a law recently. I forget how many years ago it was, that non-fatal illnesses such as mental illnesses also would qualify for maids. So the question that you would be asked is like, what about an 8-year-old who has a non-fatal
Not a very strong disagreement.
disease? That
Like between me and Singer, or between me and I'm assuming between me and Singer, right? I thought Singer didn't support it for relatively moderate things, especially more recently, because I remember listening to him on a podcast or whatever. He was like, oh, you know, I talk to people with disabilities, and you know, my mind has been changed a bit. You know, I don't think we should. You know, I think I remember him saying like parents should at least talk to people who have the same type of disability before making the decision. So
messing with their head, right? The quality of life isn't expected to be a lot.
that has been my scenario. Okay.
Qualify for maids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I would be definitely a lot more not okay with. If it's like, yeah, your 8-year-old has Down syndrome, can you kill him? And it's like, that's what abortion's for, buddy. Come on, you had your chance.
True.
Dealt with that problem, right clicked.
Oh, did they say you can't abort?
They eliminated Down syndrome.
Oh, because they eliminated every Down syndrome baby. Yeah.
Goated.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like, I made a joke and I'm jabbing, but like unironically, like when it comes to mental illness, if they're already alive, it's like, yeah, I don't really like. There's arguments if you're a vegetabilized hospital person, you're like, what's the Terry Schiavo sort of situation? But it's very different if like, oh, you're schizophrenic, or oh, you have depression, and I think that's not something I want the government dictating about whether or not you qualify. I think that could get dangerous really fast. It sounds like Canada's moving in that direction. So again, this would call for more investigation and more numbers. And if you could show me a breakdown of like, hey, yeah, we're doing this a lot more than we should, rather than just like a trend in news articles, but a trend in raw numbers, I'd say, yeah, this is not good, and they need to reconsider what the criteria for this is. Also, JJ wants to know if you're talking about the Supreme Court, which I have nothing. I know nothing. I didn't even know Canada had a Supreme Court unless he's talking about the American one. So.
So you want to jump in real quick?
Turn on a ball.
Move first, better.
But I was getting to
Okay. We'll watch. JJ come in. Oh wait, hold on. Before he does so,
that it disincentivizes research and go to kind of
and put into healthcare.
Send the link, tell them to accept the rules, and we'll see what we can. But just though to kind of one of the criticisms I hear about these things, like having more government subsidies for medicine and things like that, is it disincentivizes, and especially caps on medical costs, that it disincentivizes research companies and pharmaceutical companies from developing new drugs that would save lives.
That's what I say.
That we do have from
That's what I said.
System is our R&D. We develop new treatments, new drugs, new ways to fix people. That just doesn't happen in other countries. And I guess the question for me to you, Soypill, is like, are you willing to give that up in order to treat the people we have now?
So two things. There's one argument is, yeah, if this was a dichotomy, we can only pick one. I would say, yeah, if I could choose to make more people healthy today to give up the potential for future people to be healthier because we found the cure to cancer faster, I would. I really would. I think like unless there was like a
horrible evil.
Obviously, you can get into the minutia, and I'd have to do calculus and number crunching.
And also, I've never tried to. Not that I understand this argument is like not specifically about me. Okay, I understand. Okay, I'm not. They're speaking in more general terms. Okay. I think it's likely Wick heard the argument for me, to be clear, but so I feel it's so evil. I know. I should talk to him more broadly just about the future people thing. I did press him on it a little bit in this, but you know, I think it's likely Wick did hear some of that argument from me. But regardless, okay, I understand they're not like completely talking about me. Okay, but I, in my conversations, have never tried to make it a dichotomy. Okay, I just think about how well, you know, how will the policy of like capping drug prices affect pharmaceuticals companies' like incentive to invest, like how will it affect their decisions on the margin, right? And B, how effectively can like a government, you know, replace it if we are, to, you know, if we're saying, I think some people does say here, like we should just subsidize it or whatever, like how effectively can that be done? You know, what are the trade-offs there? I never try to make it a dichotomy. I think there's reason to believe the government would be less efficient at it. And also you're going to offset any of the cost savings, or at least partially offset much of the cost savings if you just subsidize R&D to offset for the problem that you've created by caffeine drugs. So yeah, I've never tried to make it like a false dichotomy.
Most part, I'd rather not be like, oh, sorry, we're gonna let a bunch more people that need to die and suffer today, because in the future this might reduce the suffering of people that haven't been born yet, or the people once they're 80 who are 20 today. I do think that I would give that up. Now, I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to give up R&D completely. I think you can spend a lot on healthcare, and you can still subsidize the R&D. I think negotiating drug prices is something where like, oh, this healthcare cost and R&D cost stuff is going to fuck over innovation and incentive for innovation. So potentially you can work out something there. That doesn't mean you have to get rid of socialized medicine. It just means, hey, we got to be careful about the way that we're changing incentive structures for private companies who do research. So yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but if they were,
but it's like,
I think I still would pick.
the exact issues will depend on how you do it or whatever. But like, I think we have general reasons to believe, same for like almost any industry, that like the government would probably just have less allocated efficiency in doing the R&D.
Structures for private companies who do research. So yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but if they were, I think I still would pick the less suffering today instead of future suffering. JJ said send it again. Give me a second, but he was trying.
Yeah, take your time. To Tyler, I guess the same question to you initially is, out of Canada's system, how would you fix the wait time issue that's going on over there?
I think you need to incentivize people's greed. I think that's it.
Can you be a little more like how?
We literally import doctors. In fact, we were losing.
You complain about immigration.
I don't look.
Oh, he's on one of those famous JJ walks.
Hey, JJ.
Thanks for including me.
Well, you were sounding off in chat, and I figured why do that? When
I was. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I think I've never done this before, so this is quite a thrill. No, I think that when we talk, like when Tyler talks about the maid and all of that, I'm sorry to bring it back to this conversation, but I think, Tyler's sort of fundamental conspiratorial view of this, I think is just really kind of misdirecting the conversation in a very fundamental way, because it's important to understand that the core reason why maid exists in Canada is because the Supreme Court of Canada has ruled that Canadian citizens have a right to end their own lives. The Supreme Court of Canada had ruled that this is a constitutional right, and that the government therefore has to create a structure in which the exercise of that right can be pursued. And this has actually created a lot of trouble for the Canadian government, and this is why, the laws have to keep being updated and they have to keep making exceptions and allowing more and more people the permission structure to, end their lives. Because when you have a
no war, what about the poor employees at Raytheon? What's that re-examination show? They'll get a job in a more productive sector. Okay. So.
Right. Like if the court rules that the right to end your own life is a fundamental right, then there's only so much limitation that you can put on that right before it starts being unconstitutional. And we know this because we know that in the past, the Canadian government has attempted to put all these stipulations, and it's like, only if the death is like imminent, if it's foreseeable, only if it's terminal.
I mean, if you fully buy those two papers, you could argue that the government would be better, maybe. The two papers about the novelty of innovation. Not well. If you would have to you could argue if the government were to sort of specialize in the better welfare enhancing drugs, then sure, you could say that.
There's been other court rulings that have sort of said, no, you're restricting the right too much. So this is just a real core fact of the situation that I think has to be acknowledged before we start going down this rabbit hole. It's the government is trying to kill us to save money and so forth.
I'm Iranian and support Mr. Trump. Welcome in, I guess, Iranian Ian Namir 01.
With court rulings involving constitutional rights.
I guess I wouldn't look at my worldview as coming through a court. So I would morally or ethically view as if someone otherwise is considered healthy.
Notice, by the way, how he entirely misses the point. He's just retarded. JJ was criticizing his conspiratorial view that he just doesn't have evidence for. And he says, your conspiratorial view is misdirecting a conversation. And his response is, well, I don't get my worldview from a court. That's not what he was not asking about, where you get your principles from or what you think morality is grounded in. Most of support what the U.S. does. Thank you so much. We love Mr. Trump here. Oh no, it's over. Listen, I do not love Mr. Trump. I think his actions in Iran, I would lean towards being an expectation, a net positive. But I think overall, he's probably not a great dude.
As I touched on earlier, that they've looked at anxiety, people with anxiety, that they should be offered it. I'm not going to accept a government's ruling just because government said it's okay.
But you're making an allegation, right? You're making an allegation of government motive as to why this program exists. And what I'm saying is that when we actually look at why this program exists, it's fundamentally because the government's hands are in some ways tied. The government is required by courts to uphold a constitutional right in the same way that, in America, Roe v. Wade established abortion as a constitutional right. The Supreme Court of Canada.
Mr. Trump, best president of all time, you have no proof. I didn't consider that.
Has ruled that being able to end your own life is a constitutional right. And there's only
I think the custody with AID are going to kill a lot of people. I think just generally he has he has, I don't know how much you know about domestic U.S. politics. This is the worst stream of all time, true. But he just has a fundamental view of what power the executive branch should have that is very, I think, dangerous. He wants a lot more control over the civil service. He's already gotten a lot more control over the civil service and independent agencies in our country. He's done a lot of things unilaterally, like his immigration policies and his tariff policies through just executive orders. He tried to fucking coup the government last time he lost the election, and he lied continually about having won the election. And that still is a damaging lie to this day. He's just very corrupt in the way he deals with for example is the Eric Adams. I don't know if you know who that is, but his sort of quid pro quo there. There are other issues with the judiciary and prosecutors where he's had to go through a bunch of prosecutors to try to indict people like James Comey on mortgage fraud and stuff like that. Maybe if you were not lazy, you would not have a problem with a hardworking president. Huh, I know you're a liar. Joe Biden steal that election. True.
So much limitation the government can do. What I'm saying is that you're kind of making this allegation that the reason this program exists in Canada is because the government just wants to kill people to save money or whatnot. And that's just factually incorrect. That's not the
JJ,
history of this program.
Who appointed the Supreme Court?
Yes. Different prime ministers over the course of
Chinese are here.
The government?
Well, just on a more serious note, though,
government.
right? Like these are the allegations that a lot of people have made about the Trump administration, right? That they have appointed yes men to the court in order to rule certain ways, such as on the Dobbs issue, right? Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
They were appointed in order to overturn this, right? That was one of the litmus tests that the right has used. So I mean, I guess it's not something I don't think we can hand wave away, that accusation, can we?
Well, yeah, you can if you're making the allegation that this is being done for like a very sort of like narrow bean counting kind of motive, right? Like if the allegation is that the government is just trying to, cut costs because this socialized healthcare system is such a behemoth, which by the way, I agree it is. Like healthcare funding is like healthcare spending is out of control in this country. And I'm actually pretty critical of the Canadian system in a lot of ways. I favor like a two-tier system, not a single-payer system. But, Tyler's just making a very specific allegation that I just think the facts do not match. And that's why I was sort of puppeteering my opinion through Neil's earlier, right? Like we know that the government of Canada brags about increasing funding to healthcare. Like this is like a big applause line to say, like, look at all the more spending that we are doing in healthcare. And it's other things that get cut in order to, steer more money to healthcare. So I just think like it's not accurate to sort of say that this is kind of like the core problem with MAID is that it's sort of being driven by a kind of fiscal responsibility, which frankly I think we've seen in pretty small supply in Canada recently.
Right. So, okay. So even if that is the case, I think there is that moral and ethical position that, like, okay,
that's
fine line.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a different question.
Like, argue the moral. Yeah, argue the morality of it, right? Like you don't, like, because I can sense that like you have a sort of ideological worldview, as you sort of said, like, well, I just trust the government fundamentally, and that's fine. But it's like you can't make specific claims of government motive. You can't make specific claims of government motive if the facts are not on your side to allege that motive. You can argue about it in morals terms, and like I think that morally it's suspect in some ways, and I think that the Supreme Court made an error in reading a right to death into the Constitution's promise of life, liberty, and security of the person, right? I think that was a moral failing on our Supreme Court, but that's where we are now. You have this constitutionally guaranteed right, and the government has an obligation to make that right accessible. In the same way that prior to Dobbs, the American government had an obligation to make
you are liberal beta male. This is true.
The right to abortion accessible.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair position to take. And I don't know. I
notice how he's not
have a value of life, and like
he's still not addressing the actual issue that JJ raised. He just repeats himself again. I just place a big value on life.
But to the question at hand, do you have any specific evidence?
This is like the third time that they're asking him to address the claim he's made.
You can point us to showcase maybe there are people within the government who are directing this in the way you suggest, or is it just vibes?
Yeah, actually, Tyler, to the earlier point, let me clarify this too. If you could look, and you can see that some of the judges picked by Trump are approved through think tanks, specifically directed because of certain policies that they'll have, that they know they'll vote on. There's like a very clear A to B to C line that you can show, oh, the reason these people were picked are because they're suggested by these amount of people for these policies, and that's how they get through the process. And if you could show, this could be the case, that, hey, turns out the prime ministers that elected the Supreme Court had them suggested by people who wanted to save costs on healthcare. That would be more towards that evidence, right? I'm not saying this exists, but like if something like that was established, then you couldn't say, we have a compromised Supreme Court in America that's always going to vote for Trump, like, because you can't just say that just because he picked them, they are beholden to them, they vote against them. But if you can show that the policies, the reason they were picked are certain policies that were tried, like they knew this was going to come up, that would be something that you could use to say, well, maybe the government is incentivizing MAID, right? Like that would, you need to show this.
Right, and I know JJ is a lot more knowledgeable in the like the politic kind of the nitty gritty stuff. So I would defer to him if he said like, well, these judges they work through these policies or they work through these
Yeah,
these
JJ, explain this conspiracy to me.
So,
well, I'm just saying, Tyler, with all due respect, like, if you want to have a sort of substantial debate on this, you do have to have a little bit of background in the topic at hand and the history of it. And, it's not just me being some Canadian politics nerd who likes the nitty gritty, right? It's like, I've been following this story. I've been reading the coverage of it. I've been
They should be meaner. They gotta be meaner, bro. I understand why JJ isn't, I guess, because he doesn't do this often. But, like, it's so funny that he's, like, being so polite about this. Or, like, this guy's like, yeah, I made an insane claim without like actually knowing anything.
How this has come up and come to be, right? And so as a result, like, the facts are the facts, and you can otherwise you're just kind of like vibing it out, as Niels has said, right? Like otherwise you're just kind of like making inferences based on what plausibly feels like it might be true, and like that might work if you're in like some academic philosophy debate. But when you're having like a real world debate about actual real world policy in a real world country implemented by real world government, I just kind of feel like it behooves you a little bit to be a little bit more grounded in the actual facts of the situation rather than just kind of drifting into conspiracies about what seems like it might be the case.
Tyler, he's calling me out too because I didn't know about this.
I know, like, I thought Canadians were supposed to have each other's back, but all right, I got it. All right.
I'm still not convinced Canada is a real place, frankly.
I'm critical of it. Like there's a lot of things to be critical about in the Canadian healthcare system, and it's like, and I've made a whole video about like problems with Canada's sort of socialized medical model, which I do think has significant failings, and I think there's important lessons for Americans to learn from it. But I just kind of feel like this particular line of reasoning is not a very persuasive one at all, and I think it can be easily swatted down.
Well, let me ask you a question. Wait, I want to ask him a question. I have a question for JJ. As an Ameriboo, the Ameriboo that he is the Canadian, and to most extent, single-payer system an argument against socialized medicine, or just an indication of the shortfalls of how the Canadian government has handled it, and America can learn from its shortcomings and still adopt something better?
Yeah. I mean, so an argument that you often hear in Canada from people that are critical of the Canadian sort of status quo is that Canada and the US are like two extremes that is really quite unprecedented elsewhere in the Western world, right? So it's like in Canada, you have basically like a Medicare for all, single payer type regime in which there are prohibitions on the pursuit of public health insurance and health clinics.
Okay, I'm not sure.
What the government will allow. And that's like a very, very extreme end of the spectrum. Whereas then in the US, like, you do have Medicare, it's a two-tier system. So you
For sure, exactly, if I care about this part.
getting rid of like for-profit hospitals and so forth in the US.
System and its benefits don't undermine the healthcare that everyone else have and actually make it worse. I know
I
that's a
assume that
broad
you don't
question and you
necessarily-
can't just prescribe the exact solution, but like
you just kind of would say is that when you look at other countries, when you look at what they have in Sweden or France or Germany or wherever, right, like that they generally make this two-tier system work. And I'm not an expert, it's not describing, doesn't have a country that government insurance, and there's nothing.
Okay. Well, then, final question, short answer: Canada or America? If you had to live in one for your healthcare needs,
That's a very hard question to ask, because insurance is a
you
job that you
respawn.
have a veil of ignorance. That's
So
a
you
good
don't know
question.
where
You really
you're
should put me on the
You
spot.
don't know. You don't know where you're gonna be.
You don't know if you're gonna be sick.
He won't answer. He knows.
You have no idea.
Yeah, I guess you would have to say you'd rather be the Canadian in that situation, just because I suppose there are scenarios where you wouldn't want to be like a poor. Well, but that's I don't know, because like if you're a poor uninsured American, you can get Medicaid, right? So you'd have to sort of assume that like Medicaid is worse than the Canadian system, and I'm not super sure if that argument would really track.
I've turned this
I mean,
into
both
JJ
Canada and
debates
America
himself
really have-
stream. I like that.
I'm not actually 100% sure. Like, if you're in the bottom 20% of someone in America versus someone in Canada who has better healthcare outcomes, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Canada, but it could be. America might still do better for the bottom 20%.
This.
So I mean, it's like both Canada and America generally. Like this is the other thing too as well, and I don't mean to like dodge because it's a good question, it's a provocative question, but it's like when you look at international studies of healthcare systems around the world, Canada and the U.S. generally rank very low. Like our two countries are like at the bottom of the pile in terms of international rankings of
Who's the best? Who's top?
It's usually
That's
France.
just like just the other. Yeah, it's usually the countries that you'd expect, the wealthy Western European democracies, right? Like they're doing it best.
JJ, I
Canada
need
and
to
the US with our
supplement
extreme systems are doing worse.
I need to supplement this though. If you ask experts to rank, like the fourth most healthcare experts, they usually don't all say the same thing. In fact, the answer.
What made Trump care versus Obamacare until McCain? Oh, sorry. What made Trump care versus Obamacare until McCain shut it down? I forget all the I don't know. I forget the details of what fucking what Trump would have wanted to do. I think it was pretty like moderate reform, right? I think it did keep the protection for pre-existing conditions, right? I remember that being a big deal, and Trump said he would do it. I don't actually know beyond that what else Trump's plans were.
But almost all of them give, because they're incredibly intelligent, is it depends. It depends on who you are. It depends on how much money you want to spend. It depends on if it's like, is it single payer? Is it, is the social healthcare as in like government-run hospitals, or is it government-run insurance like it is in Germany, right? Like these are all things that they take into account, and not a single one of them is considered like the best. There are just much better outcomes on average for average people, which is why I asked the average citizen. Also, it looks like I'm on a green screen right now, so I'm not everyone. I'm real.
Are you guys able to hear me clearly? I know it's kind of a bit of a windy day. Hopefully that's not causing too many audible.
Blow my boo. That's not that part of town yet.
In like rural area, so many different things. I need to look beyond this. You guys go now. I did not mean to hijack your little.
It's public.
Okay, I was just like, should I not?
Okay, they do closings, and then
This has been in my YouTube chat description. So go ahead.
Achieve this. I think we said all of it already. I even kind of said it.
Then I call in.
Essentially, I see better outcomes happening all over the world, and we, I think, can achieve this. I think we spend way more than we need to. I think people die way before they should. I think Tyler has raised potential possible complications and real quantifiable complications like wait times and dying from.
Soy Pill should not even be this nice, bro. Tyler did not have any good evidence all the time, and I don't even agree with Soy Pill that much. I got to be clear, but
wait times as things that could go wrong with this. But I don't think this should stop.
Like I think his point about the life expectancy versus like healthcare funding is just a dumb meme. But
getting a better healthcare system, I think socialized healthcare in general, or promising some sort of baseline care to every citizen, is, in my opinion, not just a necessity in terms of letting people live longer, but just a moral requirement.
Can they with a single good reason why every streamer isn't wearing a propeller hat?
Die without healthcare is insane, and we're always going to be improving this no matter how many short.
I don't like wearing a hat and headphones. I don't wear many hats in general.
The MAID stuff, I think, is a little adjacent. Maybe there are reasons against MAID, but not.
I guess Soy Pill makes it work. These are like, I think, almost the same headphones I have. They look like the Bose Quiet Comfort, either 35s or 45s.
Otherwise, Tyler's been incredibly respectful and good faith.
I have the 35s.
Pleasant conversation debates I've had in quite a long time, especially considering my roommates get mad when I yell. Good thing I'm on the road now, but I really hope that this one would get really mad and mean and contentious, because it's like the one opportunity when I'm not home, and I have the opportunity to yell. But whatever, it's fine. I had a good time. So thank you, and thanks for JJ coming on. Thanks, Wick.
Well, thanks for being here. And if you want to yell, I can maybe see if Mantis is off work, get her in, and tell she can tell us why your chat is the worst. Close us out.
Yeah, so I think with looking at the extreme form that socialized healthcare has been, and when you put government in absolute control of your health and the certain incentives that Canada has instituted, I think major reforms and the utopia that Americans seem to have for socialized healthcare, I hope that with our discussion I was able to, if not inform, or at the very least, if not inform and assuage some of those misconceptions, and maybe kind of put them into perspective of what actually what socialized healthcare could potentially fall into. This was great, and Soifel, I was watching a lot of your debates, and I'm sorry I'm not Andrew Wilson and gonna meta ethic or fucking whatever. I think actually having a good faith on conversation and not getting bogged down in descriptions and definitions, I think was quite fruitful, and I appreciate the candid conversation and Wick, and again I appreciate you taking the time to put this together. It was a lot of fun, so I appreciate it.
Well,
you can find us.
When will we have the non-fawn versus Soifel universal healthcare debate on Wick?
When's Soifel? Fuck your
Gang, if you liked what you saw, subscribe button. The only we live all this equipment for it.
Forehead. Now is the best opportunity to do this.
Being here, gang. I love you both.
Are you doing Collins? Because I see non-fawn. I feel like he wants to yell at me, and I have to go to the bathroom. But I have 5 minutes.
Do you want to do Collins?
If you want, I want to bring non-fawn on for 5 minutes. Give me a second. I'm gonna go to the restroom. Okay.
Non-fawn specifically? Yeah. Okay. Non-fawn.
Yeah, what's cool? I get the streamer privileges.
Specifically. Okay.
Oh my God, Soifel's gone.
Special privilege.
Damn. Okay, well I have
Drew is gone from your appearance, but go ahead.
Yeah, good. Okay, I do. I have more issues with Soifel. Okay, but I don't watch all of the debate. I'll say for Tyler, my understanding of the baby made thing is, one, it hasn't been done yet. It's only been like proposed, and two, it's it's relatively common practice in most developed countries, including the U.S., to allow parents the option to like withdraw their babies from life support when they have a lot of these illnesses or whatever that they're severe. So the thing that they're doing with MAID is essentially for children who like have similar conditions, the same but don't necessarily need the same type of like life saving care, like life support stuff. They're just allowing the parents to essentially MAID, euthanize that baby, which I can understand having objections to. I think it's reasonable to have that opinion. Do two non-fawns make a fawn? Substantial. We make a two fawn. It's already common practice. It's just a difference between a syringe of morphine or whatever and withdrawing life support. I don't see a big. By the way, we loop on this point for like 3 minutes or something because he doesn't understand he just goes back to it. It's the same thing he did with like JJ. He just goes back to like, well, I just place like a really high like fundamental value on life or whatever. It's like that's not really what I'm arguing. I'm just arguing like you're being like crazy hyperbolic when like you make all these criticisms about MAID or whatever, because it hasn't happened yet. It's barely a proposal. It was proposed by one college apparently. Have you considered that Hitler did it? I didn't consider that. No, that's I guess they're basically Nazi Germany. Like it hasn't happened yet, and it's just like not. Like we're just giving parents the option to euthanize healthy babies or whatever. It's like for babies that many of them already, the parents would have the option to withdraw life support. At least if the baby needed it. Like we just let them sort of actively kill them now. Big difference there.
Well, I think where the discussion.
Like he's been a red alert since New Year's.
Our, like kind of long time guest. When we had brought this up, one of the issues was.
Are you referring to his epic lighting that he's got?
He said that if this was available, what if my parents killed me? I wouldn't have been alive. And even with the discussion, we had like
incredible argument that we got here. Incredible argument that we got here.
With regards to depression, then possibly
I have this book called like. Hold on, I'm gonna find it real quick. Actually,
my life would be dead. So
sure, and I can understand having the objection to it based on that. I'm just simply saying, there are a lot of children who otherwise would have been alive, but their parents had the option to withdraw the life support when they were babies. Again, it's a difference between withdrawing life support and like actively killing. That's the big difference. It's not like some crazy new. And this is like relatively like this happens in the U.S. with our private healthcare system as well.
Right, and I think that's like almost kind of like getting into the trolley problem. Like, do you just let the person suffer? Or do you are you actively killing the person?
True, trolley problem. There's this incredible like Christian bookstore in my town. Actually, well, not my town. A few within. It's like the closest downtown. It's the closest town that has a real downtown near me, and it has like a bunch of weird books. And it also has like an incredibly weird like taxidermy and antique tools museum. It's so weird. It's like in a basement. It's really cramped. The carpet is like scrap carpet stitched together. It just has like a bunch of antique tools, a bunch of taxidermy animals, and it's all like anti-evolution stuff. And in that bookstore, I found this incredible book, Abortion, the American Holocaust. And I think the opening line in this book, if I'm correct, here we go. The Nazi mentality. Would you have been in favor of abortion if your mother had one 6 months before you were born? Some questions require no answer. This question demands an answer. It must be asked on behalf of the unborn. Only those who have escaped the threat of this mass murder that is sweeping America have a voice to raise in defense of the helpless in the mother's womb. Like, literally, we're just doing this meme. This book is incredible. It's also really, I mean, you can kind of tell it's really old. Like this graph ends in 1978. This is an ad, a coded ad for Resident Evil 9. Absolutely. I've never played Resident Evil. I know whatever new game just came out for it.
Person by pulling the plug. Like, and I think when we really have to look at, like, do we actually value life? Do we value human life? And should we do everything possible in order to maintain that life, or is it just some life, fuck it, it's just not worth it?
Well, I was simply pointing out, I think it's reasonable to have either opinion there, but like people act like it's this like crazy, insane thing or whatever, but it's already, pretty, or something similar, very similar, pretty common practice in most developed countries where we allow parents. You ready for him to misunderstand my point for the third time? All life-saving support from these children.
Well, I think that goes into a deeper discussion of, like, just because love says it's okay,
actually,
like,
watching it at the same time, and it's quite good.
I think
Okay,
that's
you have
good.
but
Yeah, real quick,
Yeah.
I have a couple minutes.
I know
Did you have something to yell at me? I know you yelled at me
I'm
for
fine,
talking about drug prices.
wait, though, real quick.
Okay, listen, I love you, so okay, that's why I'm going to give you the better arguments, all right? Obviously, okay, future people matter. Maybe they matter a little bit less than current people, okay? I don't think that's
I think they matter
pretty
way less. That's why I'm
reasonable
okay with abortion. I
But-
don't care about human potential life. I care about human life.
Also, someone was misunderstanding my point. Also, sorry, this chapter, an atheist Jew? Oh my God. Dr. Bernard Nathanson describes himself as a Jewish atheist. Such qualifications, such are his qualifications for not being categorized as a Bible-thumping fundamentalist. Nathanielson is an expert. Once a member of the humanist Gestapo, he's now a convert. Not a convert to Christianity, but to rejecting wholesale abortion. Incredible. But I think, okay, so I would just say, like, one of the reasons it's better arguments, all right? I think he understands it a little more later on. Obviously, okay, future people. But I think, okay, so I
matter way less. That's why I'm okay with abortion. I don't care about human potential life. I care about human life.
Like he says, I'm okay with abortion. I don't care about human potential life. I care about like human life or whatever. I understand like the argument some people make like against abortion more formally is either like a future like ours argument where to say the zygote or whatever is like entitled to a future like ours, or just more broadly people make a dumbed down version of that argument that like, oh, it will become a person, so it like still has value or whatever. I don't think I don't think the future sentience mattering is dependent on it even being a person, right? Like I would equally want more happy future sentience if it was like a digital mind or happy fucking dogs and cows and shit or whatever, right? But it's not like it's less like you're valuing the potential of some existing thing now, or like valuing the zygote itself as it is now. The thing that you are valuing is the sentience that also just so happens to be in the future. It doesn't necessarily imply that anything that exists now like has value in and of itself. I don't think zygotes have value in and of themselves. Like I do think the future sentience does have value in and of itself, and therefore instrumentally certain things might be worth protecting or doing to make more happy future sentience. I can make a dumbed down utilitarian argument. But I think there is a, like, if I were to ever be like, I'm mostly pro-choice or whatever, but like my credence in it is not like super high or anything. I would like, that would be the argument that would make me like less pro-choice or whatever, would be like just a utilitarian argument of like future sentience mattering. So I would just say like one of the reasons working on climate change is good is because it makes future human lives happier, right?
Well, no, it's because if not, then humanity will potentially go extinct. It's about extinction. If the R&D for this stuff was, hey, we need this R&D because there's going to be...
Did we end war yet? It's almost on bedtime. A couple more likes and we'll do it, guys. Wait, how many likes does the stream have? 13? If we get to 15, okay. Then maybe we'll end the wars, okay? Or if we get some super chats, some memberships, some gift subs.
For antibiotic resistant mushroom fungus is going to kill all of us, and I'd say fuck the people now, get all the money into that right now. But that's not the case. It's, hey, people will live longer, certain diseases will be cured.
Okay, number 13.
I don't think you would hold if 80% of humans were going to die to climate change instead of 100%, or if it was even 50%, right?
Yeah, but how many people are going to survive? What's the quantifiable between the future people that will live longer because of R&D drugs and...
Hold on. Current people live 10 years less, but 50% of people in the future don't die of climate change.
Wait. Current people die 10 years earlier,
but
we cut the millions of like climate deaths in half? Yeah, no, 100% I'd be okay with that. I would say, yeah, if we had to be like, all right, we're getting rid of a lot of luxuries because these things cause incredible climate issues and people are going to die at like 80 instead of 90, yeah, I'd be on board.
Destiny voice, true.
So would you be okay if we had a little less luxury healthcare for people?
That's my thing. I get to copy Destiny.
That they otherwise wouldn't. But in the future, some of these diseases will just be cured.
It depends on how many more people are surviving.
It seems like here he does understand the argument a little more.
And right now, I think the problem is you're talking about, that's the problem. We don't know, and it's like R&D. We have estimates, and R&D is, I'm going to try like 400,000 drugs and one will work, and that one working is the like, hey, this is the one that saves me, right? This is the one that saves my company, excuse me. And so we can't just say, well, what are we going to be curing next? There are incentives, of course, to do a lot of different things: curing cancer, extending life, getting boners. Like these are all things that like the medical industry is incentivized to build. But I don't think that we should. It's not.
Why am I fucking blue again? Okay.
Of getting rid of all of them and getting rid of none of them. And it's also not a dichotomy of if we do have to pay these things less or disincentivize it a little, does that mean we can make people suffer a lot less? And I think really the trade-off is how much more healthcare can we get right now and still be able to negotiate drug prices in such a way that doesn't make it so we've turned off any incentive to build a drug, which I don't think is the necessity in order to end the current suffering that doesn't need to happen.
Sure. I think whether or not the trade-off is worth it is going to depend on what estimates you find the most accurate or think are most accurate, and it's going to depend on how much exactly you discount kind of future people. Okay. But the better arguments are percent of people having abortion will have a child in the future. Yeah. Children, even under bad households likely still live net positive lives or whatever. Yeah. Well, okay, I'm telling you 2 studies. Okay, and like one of the that's why I think I'm fairly certain the majority of people who have abortions, and it's like I believe like pretty substantial majority. I could be wrong. Do go on to have children in the future. So just from the perspective of evaluating future sentience, it doesn't really matter in that case if, because presumably if they didn't get an abortion, it's much less likely they would have a child in the future. They would instead just raise a child that they have now. So from the perspective of evaluating future sentience, it wouldn't have like big effects there. The other study has like a few different papers on this topic. Both of them are essentially saying like, it seems like most of the reduction in innovation and like more generally, there are like lots of judgments that we make that like preventing future sentience is not, in some contexts, it's just like not that bad. And like now, I think that in some cases that intuition might be a little flawed. We might have reasons to doubt it a little bit, but like most of us do not view, those types of birth control, which can indirectly prevent future sentience. Well, not even indirectly, sometimes directly prevent future sentience. We don't consider that to be bad most of the time. And people who do consider it bad, usually it's not because it stops future sentience, but because they think it changes the role of women in society and blah, 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 blah. At least in the short term, resulting from like price control stuff is like a non-novel medication that probably has not like crazy positive welfare effects. And I think one of them specifically, I think, looks at a lot of them are like in old age care things, which you wouldn't, that might make the lives of old people better, but it's not necessarily like having
fuck old people. I agree with.
So those are your exactly.
No, this is good. I will bring
Okay,
this up.
non-fun. Non-fun. Thanks for calling in. I do gotta go though, so I gotta end. Also, I don't know if JJ is pro-maids or anti-maids, can't tell. But if he's pro-maids, Eucharist would love to debate him at some point. So.
Okay. See, this is a non-fun strategy, okay? No one tells Holy Pill. I arm him with arguments that I know the defeater's for. No, I'm joking. Obviously, I gave my justifications for why I don't think those papers are like sufficient to change my holistic view on that issue of like pharmaceutical price caps, but I think those are perfectly fine papers, and like I think the results are probably accurate for what they measure. So I'm just reading this book. It's awesome. Reading Philosophy on the Usefulness of Intuitions is pretty interesting. Yeah, I should do a deeper dive into it, but opportunity costs and such. I'm reading the new chronology of human life. Okay. Immediately upon fertilization, cellular development begins. Before implantation, the sex of the new life can be determined. At implantation, the new life is composed of hundreds of cells and has developed a protective hormone to prevent the mother's body from rejecting it as foreign tissue. KSP versus Phil. Dude, I haven't streamed for the part of the reason I haven't streamed for a few days is because of fucking KSP. I've been locked in. It's addicting. Okay. I bought this game, and I played it before I bought it, definitely legally. I played KSP for the first time on February 19th. So it's been longer than I thought, but I have 47 hours on it. I bet most of that 47 hours is the last 4 days, though. Okay, well, anyways. I don't think Seeker's still here, but I'll probably stream tomorrow and talk to Seeker about his whatever housing stuff that he wants to go over. Oh, it's KSP, Kerbal Space Program. It's like a space flight simulator game. What does he believe, real quick? I haven't gone over the exact thing yet. So we talked a little bit earlier about like institutional investors in housing. And then he said he like wrote apparently some notes he wants to go over with me. Uh-oh. Why do bills explicitly local calibration first? Why more rentals is not more housing? Purchasing existing homes does not increase unit supply. Changes tenure composition. I would agree with this. Conflating tenure conversion with unit supply is a category error. Consider housing supply economics. I don't think I ever disagree with it. I did say some institutional investors did build to rent. But this is my whole argument, is that essentially institutional investors might change the composition between buyers and sellers, but they don't have a big effect on total housing supply. It's like not like they're artificially restricting it. And in some cases, when they do build to rent, they might be increasing it. Why higher prices not value creation supply logic? I don't know what. Okay, this is his bill. Bill redirects capital towards net new supply, reduces overcapacity evasion, and limits tenure conversion pressure in the entry-level segment while preserving build-to-rent incentives. Here claims supply in elastic markets, incremental bidder demands for existing homes largely capitalized at higher prices as not automatically welfare improving. Acquiring existing homes does not add units, it reallocates tenure, can crowd out ownership opportunities. Principal form institutional capital is net new supply. Ownership threshold policy, but hold on. Why does it say my claims? Post claims. Hold on, these I think are my claims. The pricing up, which is good for people at home. Issue welfare and comfort housing. There's large supply rental housing. Issue unit versus supply tenure. People who buy investments are not adding more supply. Core mechanism of claim. Ways of property rights can apply to incidence challenge. I think, by the way, this was in a context of I think he called like my position gentrification. And I was like, the issue of gentrification people usually cite, it's like people actively being displaced by whatever new investment in like rental areas. But in the context of like institutional home buyers, like there might be some people initially displaced when like there's a buyout of some single family homes. But for the most part, to the extent they raise property values, they're going to raise the property values of owner occupied homes. So that would probably be good for the people in those owner occupied homes. They're not really going to be displaced. They're just going to experience more higher asset values for like their highest asset. Look at my, I'm in the middle of my mission right now. This is Kerbal Space Program. This is my, you know what, this is probably the, this is probably unironically probably the highest quality fucking thing I've built in this game. Most of my shit is fucked up. This is my lander that I built. I'm on a moon right now. Gotta do a mission where I gotta take I gotta deploy some stuff here. Hold on. I gotta put, so I have room. This in there. I gotta put this somewhere. Gotta deploy my solar panel. So I can power my mystery goo observer. I want to join Space Force. I'm proud of you. This is true. I'm so upset Kerbal Space Program 2 is like abandoned, bro. Dude, I bought Kerbal Space Program 2, like, oh my god, the gravity is so low, so every time I hit the smallest fucking bump, I go flying. Kerbal Space Program 2 is like, it would be so fun if there weren't so many performance issues, and also they didn't release it in early access and then do like 2 updates and just completely abandon the game. Hashtag defund steady. I don't know what that's referring to exactly. And I can put down my communication something, whatever this is. Oh, let's search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Why would we defund that? See, this game, on the other hand, clearly no performance issues here. We'll just. Oh, interesting. This game proves flat Earth. Hey, the Earth is round in this game, bro. See, this is actually not supposed to happen. Oh shit, I'm gonna knock my shit over. And I can run my surface analysis, and I can do my experiments. I've already done these, so they're not actually like giving me anything. And then I can cheat. I'm not really cheating, but I have a few mods installed. Most of them are just visual mods. I do have this one though that it's like it has some autopilot stuff, but I had to unlock it. Okay, it's not like I start with autopilot. I had to actually do stuff to manually unlock it. Okay. And I need to find a different biome. Like way up there. And then the autopilot can do shit. Also, sometimes the autopilot messes up and kills me. I'm putting this book back though. Bro, let me speed up so I can die. Bro, it's wasting all my monopropellant. That's not good. Doesn't say it's going down, but it looks like it's okay. See this autopilot. Oh, okay, no, there we go. Okay, it made it. The Bernstein Files, a children's book by Candy O. You mean you're talking about those fucking bears? Uh-oh. It's got it this time, though. Yeah, there we go. Okay, am I in the right? Yes, I am in a different biome. See, now I'm in a different biome. So I get different stuff when I do the experiments. You should land manually. I can. I'm bad at it, but it's not that hard on. It's harder for me on places where the fuck has low gravity. Like I'm on Minimus right now, which has a very small amount of gravity. I can do it on fucking Kerbin, which is just Earth, and like Duna, which is just Mars. Actually, I've not landed on Duna on this save yet. I orbited it. One more like to end all wars, people. I'm gonna end stream soon. Someone asked what KSP was. I don't know if it was you. I figured I can show it off. I do like 80% of stuff manually okay. I usually take off manually. In fact, I've found, because my rockets suck ass, the auto ascent guidance sometimes has it struggles with my creation sometimes. Oh shit. Why does it keep doing that? When I jump, I'm just saying, what, like, I'm just on invisible shit. Uh-oh. Okay. Now I gotta go. I was aiming for the highlands, but I kind of fucked up. Have you seen Jewish space laser real? I have not. Half joking? Are you half joking? Oh, wait, does Israel have, like, their laser defense system up? Have they used it to defend during this attack or whatever? What do they call that? It's like, hell, it's not the laser dome. This page doesn't exist. It's gonna be false information right now. What is this? Let's look up Israel laser defense. Oh, is it? I think it's the Iron Beam. Yeah, Iron Beam. Video appears to show first encounter. Okay. Yeah, this one works. These are the bullet rockets launching. As they launch, there's a literal laser iron beam. You can see it exploding them in flight. Hey, I know they've been working on it for a while. Quite cool indeed. I wonder what the cost per interception compared to Iron Dome. Yeah, I know, in theory, laser weapons should be pretty low. That's half the point of them. I know they've had, like, in the US, has tried to develop shit too. It's just, there's like a ton of issues with just making a laser fucking more powerful. The fucking megawatt lasers is what they want. It costs 10 Iranian civilians per missile intercepted. I don't know how many Iranian civilians have died. It's all that they were reporting. Some. They're just waiting to reach. Higher. Do we count the school or no? What do you mean the school? I haven't read shit about the school. Okay, I'm just stupid. The old girl school, that was it? I did not see that. In Iran, I'm assuming? Brother, what? I have not seen that. I don't keep up with I keep up the broad strokes. A lot of people died at all. Listen, it was big news. Well, what has happened? Because I did I have an excuse, a better excuse if it happened today. $15 hours ago? Okay, I was sleeping. All right. Not having a start. Nope, I was sleeping. Okay. No, I didn't see this. 153 people, including children, have died after a reported strike at a school in southern Iran. Iran has blamed U.S. and Israel. The U.S. military Central Command, CENTCOM, said it was looking into reports of the incident, while Israel's military said it was not aware of any IDF operations in the area. The girls' school is located in Minab, near an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps base, which has previously been a target. At least 201 people have been killed in airstrikes in Iran, and 747 hurt since Saturday, the Iranian Red Crescent said. Iran's president, don't know about this, don't care, called the incident a barbaric act and another black page in the record of countless crimes committed by the aggressors. We take the report seriously, protecting civilians of utmost importance, blah, 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 blah. Located about 600 meters, or 1,970 feet from the base of the RIGC. Wow. Okay, just to be... This doesn't look like it was that big a news, okay? Okay, listen, we got a BBC article on it. We got a New York Times article on it, okay? You know, now that I looked up it with more words, there's a decent amount of stuff on it. Screw you, New York Times. It was really big on Prague Twitter. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. I didn't use Twitter enough today to see it yet. Okay, I'm sure when I'm scrolling at night, I don't read real news based. In fairness, I think I mean I get probably most of my news technically from Twitter, in the sense that like I see stuff first on Twitter, not in the sense that I, you know, just read Twitter and take and like don't go further than that. But oftentimes you'll hear about things first on Twitter before. I'm doing my own research. You know what I'm saying? Or Substack too. In my email when I get people Substacks, it's usually how I hear about stuff. Oh shit. It used all of my monopropellant. That's not good. Uh-oh. I get my news from Instagram memes based. So funny how Scott Sumner's is wrong about industrial policy. In what sense? I haven't seen him talk much about it. The only thing I've seen him talk about is like the land and cemetery stuff with regards to it, where he's like, oh, you know, Korea like did industrial policy, but you know, their tax on imports was offset by their export subsidies, right? That's all I really seen him say about it. I have not seen him like talk that much about it. Korea? Yeah, South Korea had a lot of industrial policy stuff. I mean, North Korea technically does too. He's very insistent that it explains very little of the East Asian miracle and thinks it's useless. Yeah, I know he's like more libertarians are gonna be. I understand it's like skeptical of it, but yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'm gonna write deep into that issue. Okay, I remember when I was like more socialist leaning or whatever, I read the Bad Samaritans book, which talks about the success of like South Korea and the industrial policy there and such. And you know, I don't think that stuff is like or like everything in there is like just totally wrong or anything. There's decent stuff in there. I am somewhat skeptical of, or I don't think there's like a ton of like solidly identified evidence that he provides in there. And now that I know more about stuff, I'm just like more skeptical of what I feel like are the more like vibes based arguments that he makes, because I know what type of person, no offense, I forget how to pronounce his name, Han Ju Chang or whatever it is. Okay, HCC slop, it's not relevant. Han Ju, yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, yeah. I'm sure I have Americanized it. Oh shit, I'm stupid. I've not been taking surface samples. Fuck. I've not been doing my EVA science either. I feel like I have probably seen this paper. Manufacturing Revolutions, Industrial Policy, Industrialization in South Korea. I feel like I've seen fucking Noah Smith cite his paper or something. Based on newly examined data, use the introduction and termination of industrial policies to help study their effects during and after the intervention period. I reveal HCI policies promoted the expansion and dynamic comparative advantage of directly targeted industries. Using variation and exposure policy through the input-output network, I demonstrate that the policy indirectly benefited downstream users of targeted intermediaries. The benefits of HCI persisted even after the policy ended, and some results took time to materialize. The findings suggest that a temporary drive shifted Korean manufacturing into more advanced markets and supported durable change. This study helps clarify the lessons drawn from East Asian growth miracle. Whoa. Yeah, it's not that surprising to me. P less Sumner pilled. I don't look to Sumner for stuff about that, but I don't know how Sumner pilled I am generally. Like, I think his view regarding the 2008 recession is probably like mostly accurate. I disagree with him on like some of the, he's not like totally free banking or anything, but like I've read stuff for him where he is like very much against like banking regulation and such, and it's like I don't really agree with him on that, even though I think much of 2008 could have been avoided by not letting NGDP fall. Still think that probably should have been more, or at the very least the Fed should have had the ability to deal with like shadow banking and stuff better. Although in fairness, part of the reply to that is, well, it's only because we put all these regulations on banking or whatever that stuff moves to the like shadow banking industry, right? But you know. You should have one of the people that is in your survey yap to you about the effectiveness of monetary policy. If this is real. One of the papers is we surveyed CEOs. I think I know what you're referring to. Yeah. All right, I've done my experiments. Lander 3. After Psi 1. Okay. I've got places to be. That I mean, I'm gonna play Kerbal Space Program instead of editing video. And, I will edit my fucking videos. I need to. But yeah, I love streaming. Love to guys watch me stream. You can head over to Irrelevant on YouTube. And do I have enough people on Twitch or Kick to be worth writing? People don't watch when I play video games. I guess I have 4 people on Twitch. Okay, head over to fucking... Probably Irrelevant on Twitch too. I don't know if anyone else is... Yeah, head over to Irrelevant on Twitch. Okay. Love streaming. Love to guys watch you stream. I will probably be streaming again tomorrow. Can't quite promise that, but... Oh, well, you can see my cat. How cute. Probably be streaming again tomorrow. But I'm gonna go edit some videos and read some shit, and I'm also gonna play Kerbal Space Program still, obviously. So, really cool to watch me stream. See y'all tomorrow, hopefully. Love you guys. See you guys.